Alright, cool. So welcome guys to my stream of Legends and of Code and Magic. So basically what I'm gonna do here is try to write a bot that goes to Bronze League at least, and try to do a little bit of what I would do normally if I was participating on this contest seriously. I've been thinking about whether I'm going to use my because I wrote a bunch of libraries and tools to be more efficient about like writing code on Codingame and stuff. But I figured that it might not be super interesting because then I would have to explain everything, and obviously I don't want to show everything because that's kind of like the little competition edge right there. So I'm gonna try to write everything from scratch and see where that leads us. So everything is good, yeah, okay, cool. So basically the way I usually start is by not using the CGIDE because I like having a compilation right when I'm writing with autocomplete and the DRS and stuff. So my IDE of choice is Visual Studio. So I basically set up a new instance here. I wasn't sure if I was going to write in C++ or C#, but apparently the chat seems to be leaning quite heavily towards C++. Yeah, maybe 2 votes C#. Yeah. Okay, so let's go with that. So I'm just gonna create a new project real quick. Visual C++, empty project. Gonna name it LCM for Legends of Code and Magic. Takes a couple seconds. All right. So I'm gonna start with a new file. There you go. So I'm gonna just copy the template code here. Oh, font is a little small. Let me adjust that for the stream. Sounds about right. Everything is good so far? Okay. So let's see. So the whole statement in Wood 3, I looked at it a little bit before streaming. So basically you have creature cards that you're drafting, and the goal is to kill the enemy player, put it at 0 HP. So it's kind of like Hearthstone from my understanding. I played a little bit of that game like a long time ago, so hopefully that's gonna help a little bit right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna start cleaning up the template code here because I have like some stuff, some conventions that I like to use to better, you know, it's just some habits. So the first things I like to do is just declare a new struct. So right now, like I'm just gonna make things clear. I'm not going to do like any sort of object-oriented programming or even like best practices of what you would want to do in like real production code or like anything like that. There's like you want to be quick and efficient when you do a competition like that, and just by doing like a struct, like everything is public, so I don't have to care about writing getters, setters, and all that boring stuff. So yeah, that's the reasoning, but I would not recommend that in any serious code, obviously. So the state here is going to contain like, well, yeah, the state of the game in any given frame. So that's going to be where the stuff is going to be read as well. So I'm just going to give a quick look at the inputs I have here. So I have some stuff about the player, health, mana, deck, whatever that is, rune, the number of cards on the opponent, and the cards on the board. So right now it's pretty obvious that I have a structure that I want to make for the player, one for the cards. So I'm just going to do that right now. So a struct for the player, HP, mana, mana, deck. What is deck? Let's see. The remaining number of cards in the player's deck. Okay, interesting. So I'll just call that cards remaining. Rune to be ignored in this league. Alright. Okay, so we have 2 players. So I'm just gonna write that right now. Numbers of cards left. I'm just gonna I have no idea what I'm gonna do with this. I'm just gonna store it right now. Card count. Okay, so I need structure for cards. Card number. Just gonna call that card ID. Instance ID, the ID here. Location, what the hell that is. Location. During the battle phase, 0 on the player's hand, 1 on the player side of the board, -1 on the... Okay, so it's kind of like a... Yeah, okay, location. Oh, yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the chat, sorry. What does struct give over class plus public? Absolutely nothing. Yeah, JBM is right. Like, that's one fewer line. No, there's no reason. I just... Yeah, it's just preference at this stage. Like in C++, it's literally the same thing. Like if I wanted to do like struct or like class player public here, but yeah. I'm not gonna pretend it's gonna be like anything object oriented, so at least it's you know, it's more honest that way. Isn't private by default better? Shouldn't you, like normally, try to keep as much stuff as private as possible? Yes, that's exactly what you would do in typical object-oriented programming. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, like I'm not aiming to write production-ready code or stuff that you want to write at your job or anything. It's just a competition. So the aim is to be as quick and efficient as possible and taking shortcuts wherever it makes sense. Inari, one more question. Any thoughts on using uint8 versus int? That's a good question. Normally, that's what I would use if I was expecting to copy a lot of the state in memory. So let's say that I have some sort of, I don't know, genetic algorithm or stuff. I want to apply like modification to the state, so I have to create a new state every time I do an iteration. So then if the structures are smaller in memory, then it's going to take a bit less time to copy. So that can be an advantage. But right now, I don't know. Like, I don't... We'll see if it ever becomes a performance issue, but I don't think that this game is going to be any simulation heavy because you don't know any cards of the opponent, right? So you're going to be able to simulate stuff that you have, maybe the monsters on the opponent's board, but that's about it. Like, you don't know what he's going to play eventually, so yeah, I don't know. Besides, like, creating a simulation for that game is probably gonna take a lot longer than the stream is gonna last, so anyway, we'll see. Okay, so let's keep going. So what are the other things? Card type, always here for this league. Yeah, see, that's the kind of thing that I'm not a big fan of with leagues. Like, it is a bunch of stuff, like, oh, ignore this league, but, you know, it would be kind of interesting to know already what it is. Anyway, card type. Cost, the mana cost of the card. Attack, defense. Alright, so it's just the typical stuff. String abilities. To be ignored in this league. My health change. Wouldn't they change? Just... maybe this. Okay. Card draw ignoring this league. Alright, I get it. So, I have a list of cards with card count. Is there any limitation on the number of cards? It doesn't seem to say. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start out in vector. There you go. Normally I wouldn't use vector for performance reasons. Like, one of them is because Codingame in some ways decide to stick to debug mode, so it means that any code that is using a lot of methods, a lot of indirection, is going to be very slow compared to the release. There are ways to help with that, but I'm not 100% sure if it's going to help out. And there's also another advantage that, like, the vector is allocating memory on the heap. What I would typically do is rather like have something like, you know, like something like this, or like max cards, but instead of having a direct array here, which would cause problems if you're doing out of bounds access or like going above that, or even like knowing the number of cards and all that. So what I would normally do is more like something, you know, like a template where I decide, okay, this is my array, I have my count, and here is my data, right? Yeah, we'll need some, and then do pushback and the iterators and all that stuff, right? So that would be like how you would start doing things optimally, but since it's, you know, it's not the point right now, so I'm just gonna stick to a vector for simplicity. All right, so is there anything else that I need to parse this? I don't think so. So let's change a little bit the input code. So then what I like to do is create an agent struct. So the agent is basically representing the bot. So that's where I'm going to keep like all the stuff necessary for running this bot. I could be, you know, like just defining a bunch of stuff here, and it would work fine, right? But the reason I do that is that if you want to run code locally and be able to play against yourself or stuff like that, it's really gonna help out if you're not trying to do like global state or like stuff that's declared on the stack here, and instead like just try to encapsulate everything inside the agent structure. So then I would have like a state, like the state of the game, the current state in the agent itself, and then I will have a function to read the input. So I'm just going to take this as a reference. All right. So here I'm reading the players. So basically I want to have the players. Oops. All right. So here's my reference to the player structure, to which I don't like having too many lines. Just do like that. I could serialize it directly to the structure, but if I was using, you know, like ent at hp, then it would cause problems because the std input parsing is going to treat that as a char, and then it would try to interpret literally the char as the input, and then it's going to cause problems. So since I'm not having that, it's not going to be a problem, but still, just out of habit. All right. Player and mana, cards remaining, player deck. Yeah, it's gonna be the less interesting part of the stream, but it's necessary. All right, so opponent end. As I said, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with this for now, but I have to parse it. Card count. So just gonna. All right, card. There you go. Now I have a bunch of stuff to fit inside that structure. Yeah, I'm actually debating if I should have done that before the stream because it's kind of boring. Whatever. Oops, how did I call this? Oh, yeah. All right, getting there. Inner is asking why not C and card ID. Yeah, like that. Well, I mean, right now, like I could totally do that. Like I said, it's just because if I ever decide to have this, it's gonna have a problem because of the char. Like it is gonna parse the input as a char, so it's not gonna be good. Okay, so now I have the cards in my structure. Okay, so here I'm just instantiate my agent, call agent read. For now pass. So let's see if I messed something. Just switch back to the browser. So there's an extension with Chrome that Codingame made available. It's called CG Sync. So basically what it allows you is to take a file on your disk and automatically synchronize it. So I'm just going to set up this in the off screen real quick. All right. So I'm just taking the C++ file that I had in Visual Studio, and now it's going to synchronize automatically there, so I don't have to do all those select all, copy paste crap, so it's going to be much quicker like that. So let's see if I screwed something up. Actually, I should have just like compiled inside inside Visual Studio, then it will tell me immediately if I had a problem. That's kind of like the but the other thing is like if you have like anything like okay, like I just did a mistake, you know, and it's going to tell me like, oh, like by the way, ABC doesn't exist, you know. So when you keep coding and having like this immediate feedback, like usually you're not gonna get any kind of compilation error when you're on a Codingame, unless it's something that's specific to GCC or something like that. Okay, so it seems to work. Obviously still doing nothing, but making progress. So now that I have parsed the input, I will want to have something for the output as well. So, oh, just a question. Do you split in separate files and some bundler in real projects? Yes, I do. Actually, I wrote a little tool that's parsing the C++ file so that every time that it sees an include, that is using the quotes like for the local file system, it's pasting that file directly. So then I can have stuff like I have a file that's called like stdcg.h, which will typically do this like using namespace stuff and defining like you know, like utility macros like clamp and stuff like that. So so yeah, it's pretty good. But like I said at the beginning, like I'm trying to keep this as accessible as possible, because if I start using a bunch of tools that I wrote, you know, like in the past couple of years I've played on Codingame, then it's not going to be very educational. But yeah, that's what I would do. Though for the actual bot code, I usually keep it everything in a single file because it's kind of faster that way. But for code that I'm gonna end up reusing a lot, then yes, it's a real time saver. Did you set it to trigger automatically? Yes. Basically, there's a build process in Visual Studio, so I just do build solution and then it's gonna start compiling. So I configured it as a post build event. So you have like those project properties right here. Build events, post build event, and then you have a command line. So basically all I'm doing here is invoke the C++ bundler to write to a bundle file, and then I set CG sync to the bundle file, so then it's very, very easy to deploy. You could stream about your tools. Yeah, I guess I could. The only thing is that I'm not sure how much I want to show. I mean, like, you know, like the tools themselves, like, yeah, like the code is going to be a different story. The thing is that like I've spent a lot of time writing all of this to give myself some sort of a competitive advantage, you know. So until I'm done until I'm done you know, like competing on CG, I guess I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Code hiding, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hiding the code, hiding the tools, hiding everything. All right, so output. So what are the different actions that I have? So summon ID for summoning card. All right, attack your target. Pass to do nothing. All right. So it's basically mostly summon and attack, and you can have multiple per turn. Okay. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, so first I'm gonna create a structure for the action itself. So as I've just seen, it can be either summon or attack. So I'm just gonna, yeah, little action type for summon, maybe even pass and attack. So then I can have the type inside the action. Then what? The ID, okay. and potentially the idea of a target, which is not always going to make sense, but still, just going to initialize that. Okay, so now I have a little structure that represents one action I can do, and I'm gonna make a turn struct to represent all the actions that I want to do in one turn. Makes sense. Then I want maybe a print. I could do it the C++ way, but let's keep things simple. So depending on the type, if type is pass, actually, just gonna let the stream be customizable. That way, if I want to print to the output or cout or car, then I have the luxury to do that. So if it's pass, just print pass. If it's summon, ID. Okay. If it's attack, it's gonna be ID followed by ID target. Oops. Okay. It should do it. Oh yeah, I have the draft as well. Oh, I forgot about that. Draft. Okay. Okay. All right. So now that I've got this, I can write myself some helper function to be able to specify different actions. So that way it will be easier to configure Jeez. Okay. A little boilerplate, but it makes life easier. Or I could just like, yeah, like there's gonna be some line clash here, so okay. Jesus. Sorry, I'm having trouble typing today. Same problem here. Yeah, that wouldn't happen if I used like m underscore and, you know, typical convention. But the other thing is that like when you spend 40 hours a week at your job, like writing proper code, it's kind of therapeutic to just, you know, screw it, I'll just do whatever. Oh wait, what? Okay, I'm done. Oh no, that's big, I forgot. Yeah. Okay. Is there any question in chat? No. Okay. Okay. So I got my little verbs. I forgot to update. So see, like right here, like that's an example of like time saver. I updated the signature of the print function, and then it says right here, like, wait, the function definition for print not found. What are you doing, right? So then I can just fix it, and that's it. You know, like not have like to build 10 minutes later and then figure out like what is this error and then fix it later. You know, like it's those little things. Okay. Another thing I like to do is when I see like assertion, like stuff happening that shouldn't happen, I like to define a little trap here. So what this does is it makes the program crash. So the way you do this in a sort of portable way is to try to write to the null pointer, which is going to trigger an access violation, which is going to stop the program right away. So then I can do stuff like if I'm trying to print an action and then I encounter a type that I didn't find because for whatever reason, like there was another action in a later leak, then I can just say, wait, action not found, then print a type, then trap. So if that happens, type what? Sometimes it doesn't refresh. Oh, okay, it's because it's an enum. My bad. Okay. Yeah, so that way I can immediately like see stuff that happens. Like another thing would be like to wrap all your accesses to an array or a vector and say if it's out of bounds, same thing, like print a message. That way, like you don't have to figure out like a memory corruption or you know, like stuff that just doesn't make sense like as you make it. So I'm sure there's like probably a more standard way of doing this, but it doesn't really matter. Newman sick brown switches. Yeah, that's exactly like the brown switch that I have. EMH asking, how will you do semicolons between multiple actions? That is coming. So what I did is just like encapsulate the action itself inside a structure. So now I have my turn here. So I'm just gonna do the exact same thing here. So I'll have a print for the turn itself. Then I'll just iterate over the actions and say action print. Yeah, I'll just try to keep this nice little convention here. All right. So I print the action, and well, here's an interesting. Does it matter if I do a semicolon at the end? Because that simplifies things a little bit. Oh, I guess we'll see. There you go. So now I have a way to just print my list of actions separated by semicolons. You can do semicolon at the end. Great. All right. Geez, that's helpful. Like I don't even have to look things up. I just have to ask the chat. Okay, so now another interesting thing I'm noticing is that if I'm doing nothing, then it's gonna be invalid, right? So if my actions are empty, then I can just print pass. No, yeah. So that way I don't have to worry about keeping things well formulated. So I don't have like to push a pass action when I'm not doing anything. So if for whatever reason, like in a search algorithm or like the result, like it doesn't find anything to do that's good, which shouldn't happen, but still, then at least it's safeguarded. Okay. Let's give this a try. So I have a turn. I'll print C out. Then the end line. I'm just gonna build, make sure everything is okay. Alright, so seems to work fine. Okay, so what I will do instead is have my agent contain is best turn that he found so far, and have it print the best action it found. And then best turn print C out. Yeah, that way everything is encapsulated, so you have like this nice little loop. Makes sense. Read input, print, done. Now comes the more interesting part of writing actual intelligence to this bot. So let's see, what do I want to do here? So there's a draft phase, which I don't think is gonna matter much for wood leaks. So I'm just gonna ignore that. Is there a way to distinguish between the draft phase and the battle phase? I'm not sure. Oh, there you go. During the draft phase, player mana is always 0. Alright, perfect. So I'm gonna start doing the actual intelligence of the bot. So I'm gonna do that in a think method. Alright, so first things first. So if I'm in a draft phase, well, I guess I could make a little helper for that. Is in draft. If players mana is 0. There you go. Okay, things a little more clear. It's in draft. Well, I guess I can just clear best turn. Oh wait, oh. Action. Whatever. Normally turn will be just a little helper at this point. Okay, so best turn clear. Actually, I probably want to do that on every turn, so I don't output the result of the previous turn. If it's in draft, then I don't do anything, because by default it will pick a random card, so probably don't care about it. So now this part will be the battle phase. Please make sure you put the stream on record. It so quickly needs to be reviewed as slower motion. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, that's more content per second. So isn't that good? And that's when I realized I completely forgot to record. Oh boy, that just happened. Well, it's never too late to fix things. Alright, I'll start recording now. Does Twitch record automatically? I hope so. I think that I've seen an option for that. Just let me look over this real quick. It's disabled by default. Yeah, but I think that I did enable it. I'll just have to download it afterwards. Where's that option? Video producer, I think. Settings channel. Store past broadcast. Yeah, it's enabled, so it should be fine. Let's hope so. And I didn't use music. It's recording. Okay, cool. But I'll still do a local recording. Okay, sorry for that. That's newbie problems. Okay, so what was I doing? Battle phase. Okay, so where's my browser? There it is. So what do I want to do? Well, I probably want to play card. So whatever I can play is probably good, right? So let's start with that. So whatever I can play. How am I gonna do that? Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna iterate through the cards that are there. So how do I distinguish where it's my card? I thought, wasn't it location? Yeah, it was location. What was the number? Location 0, 1, -1. Okay, so that's a classic case. You don't want magic numbers. It's just gonna make your code hard to read. So I'm just gonna fix that real quick. Card location. It's called like that. So 0 in a player hand. Just gonna use value definition since it's -1. Opponent and mine. Oops, there you go. Alright, so if card location is in hand, actually I'm just gonna make things simpler. If it's not in my hand, then I'm just gonna continue. Oh, right, I forgot to. Okay, so if it's not in my hand, I keep going. Alright, so can I cast it? So I guess I want to see what's my mana at, right? Oops. a little variable here. So if the cost of the card is above my mana, then I keep going. Okay, so now I should only have the cards that I can play. So I'm just gonna guess that the more mana a card is, the better for like something really stupid. So I'm just gonna have to keep the best card that I've got. Let's see, best card. I'm gonna give each a score, which I'm gonna initialize at -infinity or close to. Okay, so I'm just gonna give it a score that's directly based on its cost. So if the score is better, I'll just update the score. This card is this card. So at this point, yeah, so if I ever want to modify the scoring, it's going to be really easy. Just modify that. Yeah, so okay. So if I have a card to play, then I'm just going to play it. Sorry for going quick. Like you can probably watch the VOD and figure things out. Like I'm just trying to get more value out of the stream. Like the more I do stuff, the more I progress, the better it's going to be. At least that's what I hope. So instead of having like to explain every single thing I do, then you know just do the big picture if that's fine with everyone. You can summon more than one card per turn. Yes, that's actually true. I'm just gonna start summoning one card, then after that we'll summon more. So the action, so here's where my helpers are gonna make life a little easier. So I'm just gonna say my action is to summon this card. So I need the ID. Is it ID or card ID? I think it's ID, right? Because card ID was the identifier card, whereas instance ID is the identifier representing the instance of the card. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Okay, so that way I summon the card if I have one. So I'm just gonna start with that. That's a thing I like to do. Like just always go iteratively. Like the smallest unit of change, you always test it. That way, like you don't get any bad surprises. So I'm just gonna build this real quick. There's an error. Can convert. Yeah, okay. Do a little cast here. Okay. Let's see what happens. Error. Oh yeah, okay. I forgot about that. So basically, this little like macro here, like that's one of those things that kind of suck, is that every compiler has its own set of conventions and includes that it has and everything. So what happens is that in Visual Studio, this is defined by default, and in GCC, which is the compiler used by the Codingame platform, it's not. So I just need to include the header file. Oh, I guess what would I do if I didn't know that? Is I would go on cppreference.com. Then I would search for intmax. There you go. And it's gonna say that it's defined in another header. Great. There you go. Okay, whatever. Let's be standard. Okay. Let's see if it works now. What the hell? Okay, I know limits.h works. I'm just gonna stick with that. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm not gonna start reading documentation on stream. Alright, it works. So, what happens? Do I start playing cards? No. Okay. What happened? Best card, score, best score. Score is the cost. Okay, so first things first. Did it find my best card? have the... yeah. Okay, so it doesn't seem to ever find a card to play. So that's a good hint. Now, why wouldn't it? Let's see. Does it go here? Oh, it doesn't even cycle through. Okay, so I guess I forgot something dumb. The card should be inside the state, yeah. Filling it here. This is my conditions. Okay, so it doesn't even... Yeah, so see, that's why you want to iterate as little as possible every time you do it, because I just did a bunch of stuff, and now I'm not sure where I messed up. So that's a good reason why. No, I'm not seeing anything. Oh wait, I think. Jesus. Of course that's happened on stream. Alright, so I forgot to ask my agent to think. There you go. Oh boy. Okay, so does it work? Still not. Okay. Action is not legal. Oh, there you go. Starting to get somewhere. Summon -1. Okay. So this must have been -1 at some point. ID. ID equal ID. Okay. So why is it -1? Okay, so let's put some debug. Summoning card -1. Okay, so the ID for some reason is -1. That's weird. Is that even legal? Instance ID, the identifier representing the instant of the card. That's weird. Location -1. Maybe it's mixing things up. Maybe I forgot to do something. Let's see. Read the player here, opponent card count, card number, instance ID, location. Yeah, everything should be fine. Okay. Reading card ID. See if there's a -1 somewhere. Maybe ID is not set in action. It should be. It should be because where is it? Like I call summon and then I set ID to the argument. So like the argument itself, and even then like the loop that I had, reading card ID, like no, sorry, not this one. Summoning card -1. So that's definitely this. That's -1. Okay. Reading card ID. Yeah, everything is fine. Then summon card -1. Okay. What is going on? Oops. I'm sure it's something so stupid. It's always like that, isn't it? It's card has okay. What is going on? Why is there so many cards though? Oh, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I get it. So basically, I forgot to clear the vector of cards before reading. I don't usually... Okay, so here's my excuse. I don't usually use those like STL vectors and stuff like that. Like I have my own structure that do those things nicely, so that's my excuse. I'm not comfortable. Okay. All right. Okay, it was a bad mistake. I get it. Chat better than recurse. Oh, you guys figured it out before I did? Yeah, it's kind of hard to think, to code, and read chat at the same time. Oh, look at that. I have creatures. Great. So all I need, geez, I have a lot of stuff. It should be pretty easy to win after that, right? So what I want is just to attack the player. Yeah, let's just do that. Attack the player. There's still the guard thing, but I think that the creatures don't have abilities in this league, right? Let's see. Yeah, I think I heard something like that. String abilities to be ignored. Yeah, okay. So I can just attack the player. So let's do that. Yeah, I guess like there's the whole like more than one summon per turn, but for now, let's just go through the cards that we have played. So basically I want to find a card that's mine. So it's gonna be in play. And attack with it. Symbol, right? So I'm just gonna... Yeah, I have helpers to make this easier usually. Action attack with discard ID. Target ID, I think -1 is the player. Akis is asking, won't you try to attack with opponent minions? Yeah, sure, maybe at some point. But right now I just want to win the game easily and graduate. So I don't think it's gonna matter that much. Alright, so I'm gonna attack the player. Should be it, right? Let's go. Suspense. There you go. Looks like I'm ready for the arena. I mean, not the most impressive AI, but that should do. That's sorry for your ears. Suspense is building. There you go. Easy peasy. So what's next? What's on the next league? In Wood 2, creatures can have abilities. Okay, so that's probably where I'm gonna have to start worrying about the guard, because according to the rules, guard creatures must be destroyed first before you can attack the player. So probably what I'm gonna do is just modify the well, I have to modify the input because I'm not reading this, but then I'm just gonna start attacking the creatures with guard, and I'll attack the player, and that might be enough. In Wood 1, players can draft and play another type of card items. That sounds like the kind of thing that's not gonna matter, because at that level the AI is just not gonna be good enough that whether or not you have items, it's not gonna matter. So you know, it's kind of one of those like pass-through leagues. It feels like. Hopefully, I'm not wrong. And in bronze, more abilities for creatures. Well, there you go. So we'll see if that's enough to reach bronze. Oh, I actually lost the game. I guess someone has the same strategy. Maybe someone is doing the exact same thing I'm doing. Whatever. Rant on Wood Leagues incoming. Yeah, well, I just did that. That M plays back is messing with my head. Yeah, well, the thing is, I think it's in C++ 17 that you can do M plays back straight on. Like, what you can do in the latest standard is just do that, right? Oops. But it's not standard, at least not yet, or like not all compilers support it so far. I think Visual Studio does. I don't know if Codingame does. Well, if Codingame does, I'll just do that. Let's see if it works. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, see? Invalid initialization of non-cons reference of type action. So yeah, it doesn't let me do that, unfortunately. Okay, so resub to promote more people. Okay, oh nice. They display what's new right in the statement. Each player starts with 30 HP. Some cards can increase this number. Okay, whatever. Some cards can make players draw additional cards at the beginning of their next turn. Okay, whatever. Some creatures start with certain abilities. Oh, we got chat now. Hey chat. Sorry, but it's kind of distracting. Okay. Okay, creatures can have an effect on the player's health, the opponent's health, the card draw of the player unplayed. Okay. Can have different abilities. Breakthrough. So that's like trample in Magic, I think. Charge. Okay, so you can attack right when they're summoned. That's kind of cool. Guard. And yeah, okay, so that's what I was saying. So enemy creatures must attack creatures with guard first. Okay. So I guess we'll have to handle that. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, the input. Okay, so string abilities. Each letter representing an ability. B for breakthrough, C for charge, G for guard. Okay. So we have to do a little bit of parsing here. And that's it. Okay. Alright, so it's all good. Obviously, I'm not gonna make it to wood 1, right? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so first things first, let's just adjust our parsing for the abilities right here. So I'm going to modify the card structure right here and add some booleans for breakthrough, charge, and guard. And for the abilities, just gonna iterate. I don't know if I can do that. It's not the kind of thing I usually do in C++, but yeah, I don't see any errors. So if the char is, what was it, B? Yeah, probably B. Then this card has breakthrough. If it's C, then charge is true. If it has G, then guard is true as well. All right. Okay. Sounds good. Could I selfishly ask you to slightly reduce your bitrate because right now it is equal to my parents' Wi-Fi download speed? Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's only the popular streamers that have this option, right? So, I mean, I could reduce the source, but then it will be worse for everyone. It will be worse for the VOD. So, worst case, maybe check the VOD. I don't know. I'm sorry. I think that's as best as I can do for now. Okay. Anything else? No. Okay. All right. So now that I have the abilities, I should make use of them. So what I want to do here is instead of attacking the player, if there's a guard, then I have to do that first. Okay. So I guess a good way to do that will be to store the guard cards that the opponent has. So I'll just iterate through the cards. Find a card that's in the opponent. And check if it has guard. If it doesn't, I don't care. So right now I should have only the cards that have guard. Oops. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do is just go through that vector and try to destroy the cards. So maybe I'll do some super basic simulation to accomplish that. So basically, So right here, if there's no guards, then I'll just attack the player. Otherwise, I'll start with the first guard. No, I don't need that. And then say, so I'll take its defense and subtract it with the attack of my card, right? So so that way, if I have multiple, let's say that I have like multiple weak creatures that have 1 attack and the guard has 4 defense, then every time that I assign an attack command, it's going to decrease the defense. So then what I can do is say if the defense is lower than 0 or equal to 0, then I can just remove it, right? So then I no longer have anything on my guard. So then next guard, if it's hitting the size 0, then it can just attack the player, and that's it. Sounds about right. Okay, so now I have to test what I just wrote. Hopefully the bus has some... Oh wait, it's not synced anymore. I think it's the change of league. Why isn't it syncing? Maybe I have to refresh. There you go. Okay. Sorry about that. No sim equal no wood 1. Okay, what's about that? Okay, so I lost. Oh, there's the guard card. So am I attacking it? Did I forget something? Oh yeah, I forgot to issue the command, of course. There you go. Wait. Okay, so I'm gonna attack with the card that I have, the guard card in question. Okay. Geez, I'm actually rank 58, so it might not be that hard to work out, right? It's destroying it, and then it attacks the player, and I win. Easy peasy, right? So I'm guessing that the only reason that I did not graduate right away is because whenever someone was playing a guard card, then I will never attack anymore. So, cool. That was easy. Inari asks, are you using AVX? Of course. It's the compiler. Maybe. Alright, if you have questions, ask away, because that might take a little bit. Recurse, will you normally access the ID directly or do guard get ID? Well, I mean, if you want it to be super clean, like have like top-notch code, that I guess that's what you would do. But in practice, like you're the only one messing with your code, so you know, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, like clean code that they would use like getter and setters and have private members, so that like no, like I think that the main reason for that is that it's to cooperate with others, right? Like when you're working on code, like you're gonna have like coworkers or people working with you and everything, so it's much clearer like what is allowed to do from the outside than the implementer of the class itself. So it's kind of a contract that you have with others, right? So like here's the public members, this is what you can do with this class. So I think for cooperation with people, that works best, like to have conventions that everyone understands. If you're just coding by yourself, I don't think it matters, unless that's the kind of thing that you are super yeah, that's it. Interfaces versus implementation. Yeah, that's it. So if you want to get even fancier, you just expose a facade that's an interface with pure virtual functions to dictate how you can use that class. Of course, you pay a little bit of cost doing that, but yeah, like that's the thing, right? Like it's a Codingame competition. Like you're not going to start an open source project out of that or get hired with like the quality of the code that you write. Like if you perform well in CG, I guess it's always a nice thing to bring in interviews, but But yeah, like the quality of the code, like if I was to examine something that someone did in a competition, I wouldn't look about code quality. That's not the place for it. And again, like even code quality is a very, very subjective thing. It's like depending on the environment that you work in, and the people, and the size of the code base, size of the team working on it, it's going to be very different. This also makes for easy flame wars with programmers. Some ints if you want to troll the chat. Alright, so looks like I'm gonna graduate in a minute. So what, I forgot, what is in Wind 1? It's the items cards, isn't it? Players can draft and play another type of card. Yeah, okay. I might have some little edge case to add to deal with that. Ah, there's the annoying sound. Alright. Wood 1 is coming. Yeah, I don't know if I can, maybe I can just mute the browser actually. There you go, mute site. Okay, so item cards. First, does it matter? Maybe. This is worse than the good old Windows OS noise pollution. I agree. I agree. I miss the little things. Rank 35. Alright, I'll just let this run for a while, see if I need to do something for Wood 1 and read the chat. Aki says, in my opinion, it's good practice to take conventions into consideration when learning. You won't have bad practices if you learn to do it correctly. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. That's a good point. It all depends on what your goal is, right? Like I'm not learning C++ doing those competitions, so I don't care. But if you are, then yeah, it's a good idea. It will matter because your code doesn't know if it's a creature or item yet. I think it's not gonna matter because if I play an item card, it's not gonna be in the board on the board. So like any code that was checking for opponent or mine should be fine. If I play a card with a wrong target, I think that it just has permissive input or output, whatever. So like if it sees a wrong command, it's just not gonna do anything. So it's probably not gonna matter. Okay, so it looks like I'm not gonna have to do anything for Wood 1. That was easy. So at this point, I guess I'll just try to get as far as possible into the Bronze League until I get bored, or you get bored. But geez, 54 viewers. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm really honored to have so many viewers. I didn't think it would be that popular. After the stream, like, don't hesitate to go on the forums and leave me some feedback and suggestion in case I end up doing a stream again. Then I will be able to better address your needs and concerns. Inari says, quit your job and start pro streaming. I don't know. Maybe we'll need a bit of donation for that. Organ Grinder says 208 viewers total actually. What? Where do you see that? 208? That sounds crazy. Anyway. Oh, that's all time? Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I had so much lower expectations. So in the meantime, like, while we're waiting, if you have questions or stuff that you want to see or talk about, feel free. Otherwise, it's gonna be a bit of downtime. Maybe play some music. Oh wait, no, I'm not gonna do that. Sorry. No, I was just thinking if I started playing some music, well, it's supposed to be royalty free, so it should be fine. But if Twitch decides it's not, then the VOD is gonna be out. So we'll just have to wait in silence. Where's your subscribe button? I don't know. Don't you have to be a Twitch partner for that? Maybe if I keep streaming. I'm not normally able to watch these streams. The fact that it's on the weekend helps. Well, cool. I think that's a great time window actually, because well, I'm doing this on the afternoon for me so that our European friends can watch in the evening. So obviously I can only do that on the weekend. How would you go about building a simulation for this game? Serious question. I guess the first question will be, would it matter if I build a simulation? You don't know the cards of the opponent. I mean, I guess you could do some sort of prediction for the cards that he drafted, like during the draft, because you both draft the same cards, right? So if you could come up with some statistical model that, like, yeah, it's likely that this card might happen, then you might be able to simulate on that. But what I'm afraid will happen is that if you end up like playing according to something that doesn't happen, it's gonna end up playing worse than if you just didn't care. The one thing I see that maybe a simulation will help is like when, you know, like it's gonna get a little bit more complicated with the attack code eventually, I guess, when you're gonna have to decide which creatures you decide to attack with which one, or like whether it will make more sense to attack the player or attack the creature, clear the board, like all this sort of logic. So I'm expecting in that point it might be interesting to write some sort of some sort of search to test some scenarios. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't start writing any simulation code until I see that there's a need for it. Um, the whole thing will be striked on YouTube though, as Twitch deletes COD after a few days for non-partners. Why would the whole thing be strike on YouTube though? I don't understand. Uh, Computing illegal moves would be the most complicated things. Um, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because for each creature that's on the board, you will have to check every single possible target. So like that will mean every creatures of the player and the player itself, unless there's guards. What else? Well, which card to play? I guess it would be interesting to determine whether it's better to play cards before attacking or after, or if there are cases where, you know, like one might make more sense than the other. So yeah, I guess you would want to either like focus on the moves that make the most sense or are more likely to make sense. So doing some filtering on the moves that you're testing, or doing some sampling. Maybe some sort of genetic algorithm will help there. I don't know. Start writing some simulation engine, please. Your hand plus. You know what? I'm just gonna see where I rank in bronze, and I think I'll just focus on what gives the most gain. Like if I see something really stupid, I'll just fix it instead of writing simulation. Because I have absolutely no clue right now, like how I would go about it, or the uh, the use for it. Like I need to have an idea in mind of what the simulation is actually gonna help me with. You know, like what problem am I trying to solve, and then tweak the simulation according to that. Because otherwise, I'm just writing code for nothing. Unless that's what you guys will want to see, but I don't know. I think it would be more interesting to be like, let's see how far in bronze I can get with simple code. Event sampling is not easy as it seems. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Like you can bias your sampling towards moves that make more sense. You know, just like you would do in more exhaustive search. In this Twitch, agent class inspires me some improvement in my future code. Cool, cool. I'm glad it helps. PB4, white trap assert is easy and you don't need to write anything. Uh, yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess that's just an habit that I have with you know, like the code that I'm writing and dealing with. Like it's like assert is not clearly defined what it does on every platform. I know that on Windows, like there's a pop-up that can happen, so that can be a little bit annoying. Another good thing is that, well, I guess it's more about like when you have automated system and such, but like triggering a crash, like if you have an infrastructure to handle the crash, then it can provide like call stack and stuff like that. But anyway, it's just it's literally a one-liner, just writing to null, so you know, it's no big deal. Newman says simulation will allow you to do perfect trading on the board. I don't think the whole contest will go beyond that, to be honest, because of the missing information. Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like I've been talking with some people on Discord, like Icebug and others, like about you know, what is going to be the strategy on the top. Like Icebox seem to say, well, I'm naming him. I don't want to misrepresent his opinion, so I'll just go with like there's a whole like, yeah, like the core logic, which will be how you're going to attack and trade cards and stuff like that. To me though, it seems that like once you've gotten that down, like it's not gonna get that much more. Like there's not a lot of room to outplay here, because there's no spells, there's no interrupts, there's no like more complicated mechanics as you see in other card games. So beyond that, like I don't see a lot of room. What I do see a lot of room though is on the draft phase, like figuring out a good deck, a good mana curve, creatures that synergize with each other, like whether you would want to go for an early aggro build where you're like summoning early on as many creatures as you can and just try to end the game right there and then, and or like more defensive decks, like if you see guard creatures, like favorite them, um, or maybe something like a glass cannon where you mix guard creatures to defend, and then those high attack low defense creatures to attack behind. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. PV4 asks, doesn't assert provide more information on where the crash happened? No, I don't think so. The Codingame is going to give you a call stack, whether it's a crash or an assert, I think. So I don't think there's a difference. Okay, so is the summit done? Holy crap, there's a lot of people in bronze. Yeah, okay, it's almost done. So 600 out of 700. So what I'm going to do is just pick a random loss towards the end, which means that it's probably someone around my rank, and see what happens. Just send to the IDE. Okay. Okay, so I have some items that I'm not dealing with. Okay, so it seems like the whole one summon per turn is gonna be a bit of a problem here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fix that. Should be easy, and maybe give some more ranks. So basically that's where I was. Yeah, okay. So that code was cycling through the cards in my hand, those that I could cast, find the one with the higher cost. Again, like this is probably going to be something else I want to improve on, and then summon it. So basically, what I'm gonna do is, while I have mana, so if I end up summoning this card, then I'll just subtract my mana, best card mana, whoa, cost, yeah. And if I don't have a best card, I'm just gonna break out of the loop. So let's review real quick. While I have mana, find the IES cost card. If I don't have one, I stop. Otherwise, I summon it and I update my mana. So was it enough? Oh, the sync is out again. Okay. There you go. Let's see. Do you always start contests as progressively as this? Yes, yes, totally. I don't think I would have done much different so far if I was doing this contest seriously. Maybe the only difference is I would use my tools for playing games and collecting information, but beyond that, no, I think that's pretty much what I would have done. Okay, so I'm still losing. Action is not legal. Huh, that's interesting. Why isn't it legal? Okay, let's review. I'll just pick the first one where it happens, because there's going to be less stuff happening on the board. Okay, so that's him. Okay, action is not legal. Summon 3. Which is this card? Oh, okay, it's the item. It's the item card. Okay, so I guess I could do something about this as well. You're summoning an item. Yeah, I should just check chat. Why do I do the effort? Okay, so this is where I'm summoning stuff. So I'm just gonna add if card type, which I don't think I have parsed properly so far. Yeah, okay. So where are the values? 0 creature, 1 green item, 2 red item, 3 blue item. No, I have no idea what's the difference, but let's start with that. So card type. Does it go from 0 to 3? Yeah, okay. So creature, green, red, blue. Item. Okay. Oops. Okay. So if card type is not a creature, I'll skip it. Oh. Okay. So then I'm just, well, though this is not really hurt because since it was an invalid action, then it just didn't do anything, so that's not gonna help me. Then what? Well, maybe I actually want to consider them, it's just that I want to do it differently. Yeah. How will I do that? I guess it depends like which target, or whether I have creatures. That's gonna get complicated. Let me think. Probably want to collect the cards, the creatures that are in play. So let's do that. So vector of my creatures. If the card is mine, I don't have to care about the type because everything that's in play is going to be a creature by definition. So I'm just gonna push that. So now I know if I have a creature in place. So one thing I could do is see if it's an item and I don't have creature. Oh no, it's true. The item can target others. Okay. Other creatures. So I'm just gonna update this. If it's mine, I'll push it. Otherwise, it's the opponent. Then I'll just other creatures. All right. So what's the differentiation for the item? There's green, red, blue. Has it said anything? No, it doesn't say. I don't think. Oh wait, okay. Green items should target the active player's creature. They have a positive effect. Okay. Red items should target the opponent's creature. They have a negative effect. And blue items can be played with a no creature target identifier or cause damage to the opponent. Okay. Question. Is the range-based for loop as fast as iterating with iterators? Yes. All it does behind the scene is just use iterators to do the exact same thing. Okay. Anyway, so this is going to be useful for applying the items. So when would I want to play an item? When would I want to play a creature? Let's ignore that for now. So I'll just say anything that I have in hand. I'll just go with the highest cost and assume that it's the best card. Obviously, that's something that's not gonna hold for very long, but I guess here. So if it's a creature, whoops, not the location I was looking for. It's the card type. Oh, best card. Card type. Creature. Then I summon it. Otherwise, if it's a green item, then I just need to play it on one of my creatures. If I don't have a creature, I want to skip that. So if it's a green item and I don't have creatures, skip it. So I don't have to handle the case where if I have a green item and no creature, then I can't play that, right? So then I'll just apply it on yeah, summon. Oh wait, what? What's the oh, it's use. Oh, okay. So I guess I have to update use. I'm assuming it's the same thing here. All right. So use. Update the print. There you go. Okay. All right. So here I want to do the same thing for red item. Yeah, sorry. I just realized I'm jumping a little bit all over the place. It's just I just see something and I fix it, and I don't always think of explaining it because I'm usually quiet when I program by myself. Best card type. Okay, so summon this on, let's say, whatever creatures I happen to have. I don't care at this point. The ID. Oh, is it not refreshing? Oh, it's use. Jeez, my brain is fried. Okay, so use this card on this creature. Otherwise, if it's a red item, same thing, but with the other creatures. If it's a blue item, I have no idea. I have to look at those cards at some point. So for now, I'm just gonna keep things simple. and ignore them. So if I have an item, I use it on the first creature. Okay, let's see if it works. Build successful. I thought since it's using auto instead of you writing the type, it will be slower. Oh, about the iteration. No, auto is actually not, it doesn't matter. It's just deducing the type at compile time and using that in place, so it has absolutely no impact on the runtime. Is auto like dynamic or var? No, not at all. So dynamic is the, so it's the keyword for C# for a dynamic typed object. So for those who don't know, like static type is when you have to declare the type and everything, like we've been doing, because C++ is a strongly typed language. So if I want to have like a card, for instance, then I have to define the type and everything that is inside of it. If it was a dynamic type language like Python, Lua, all of those, then I wouldn't need to define that. I would just like have well, I don't know much about Python, but let's say about C#, I think, and then I could just do whatever, even if that didn't exist. So there's no such concept in C++ of dynamic typing, unless there's something about C++ 17 or 20 I missed. Okay. And then there's functional programmings like Haskell, which statically invert types. Yeah, but that's a bit advanced. Okay, where was I? Oh, I won. Great. So I guess using items did help at some point, or didn't I? Did I use any items? Yeah, used 3 9s. So in this case, I used the cloth on this Eldritch Cyclops to make it a huge monster. Okay. All right, submit. Let's see where we are now. So we started at 592. That's yeah. I would say like until you get, I don't know, top 50, top 20. Just iterating on simple changes like that and submitting, see where you're going at. Like you don't want to start like doing batches or playing against like opponents locally too much. Like when you do improvements that are like clearly better, like there's no contest that using items is better than not using items, then just use the submit button to test your changes. Isn't it more like C# var about the auto, I guess? At least within range-based loops. I'm no C# programmer. Yeah, auto is exactly like var actually. It range-based loops or not. Like if I go in Visual Studio, for instance, and say auto I equals 0, then it's gonna say int, because 0 is by default an integer. If I said 1.0f, then I will be a float. If it was a string, then it will be a const char, I guess. Yeah. So it's just a type deduction. Makes code a little easier to read, especially when you have complicated iterators. Using the submit button requires to be in the arena. Oh, good one. Auto is cool for iterators when the types can be applied to right. Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, well, here, okay. So while we're waiting for the submit, let's take a random one. So this for right here, like if I did not use range iteration or auto variable, it would be something like, oh boy, what's card? So it's a vector of card, then iterator, card begin, and card end. Iterator is not equal to n, and then I would do card. Oops, state cards. So this monstrous line is actually this. So as you can see, that's quite a bit of time saving. Then with auto, then you will do this. So at least you don't have to remember the type and say iterator, so it's a bit better. But compared to this, like there's no contest. 522, okay, so a bit better. Not that much. Let's pick a random loss and see what happened. Oh, that was quick. Timeout. That's bad. What happened? Nothing. Hmm. Interesting. Not sure what's going on. It's definitely deterministic. Okay, so this was still in the draft phase. Then the game starts and it's over. Is this guy hacking? I don't know. What is happening? That's weird. Okay, so how do we debug this? I'm betting you don't check whether item as a target. Didn't I? Let's see. If the card type is green and my creatures is 0, I discard it. Same with red item. If the other creatures is 0, I discard it. So at this point, this should be defined, in theory. So I don't think that's it. Let chat fix your bugs. Well, what is the bug, chat? What is the bug? Help me out here. So what is my hand before I... Green item, 4 creatures. And no output. That's the thing that's weird. I'm not crashing. There's no output. Is it possible you ran into an infinite loop or took too long to provide an answer? I like the infinite loop theory. Let's look at that. While my mana is 0. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm checking if the best card has been assigned. So in order for it... So it will have a mana. It will find a card, otherwise it will get out of the loop. And then it will keep picking the same card. Ah. How did that work before? Oh, because, okay, I get it. Okay. It might have been a 0 mana card. Or like even then, like if it's 2 1 mana card and I have 2 mana, so yeah, that's interesting. I guess that's the bug, right? Oh wait, I wasn't even checking my end. Yeah, that's it. So there's a 0 cost here. So that's why it's not working. Alright, so what I have to do is stop picking the card inside the loop. So I need to have some sort of indication that I already played this card. So I guess what I could do, since I don't care that much about performance yet, inside my structure of turn I could say, did I play this card? So is card played? Then I provide an ID. So then I can be checking if inside all of my actions, if I try to summon or use a card, and check if the ID is equal to the ID I'm looking for. If it's the case, I'm gonna say yeah, it's played. Otherwise, it's not. Okay, so then all I have to do is add another condition here and ask if in my best turn whether I played this card. Maybe at the beginning. Oh no, the end. The reason for that is that I'm expecting this to be because I'm looping through the action, so like as I accumulate action it might take more time than just keeping the easy conditions first. So if the card is played, then I just don't consider it again. Let's see if it fixes it. Oh, I'm winning now. Great. Submit. On top of that, if I was serious, actually, that's something that I did not talk about. I would recommend using Git for source control. That way you can have an history of everything you have submitted so far. Instead of relying on Codingame to keep the information, or even like just have an history of like why did I write this line of code in which case and stuff, so then you can just do a little change, commit it. Actually, now that I think about it, I should have done that since the beginning. That would have been a nice little tutorial. And the cool thing is that it's really well integrated with Visual Studio. Like making a commit and doing the difference of the changes. I don't know why it's not working. Oh, there you go. It's really easy. Whatever. So then, as you can see, like it sees like all the files that are added. So then I can just say initial commit bronze low bronze. Say commit, and then I have the commit done. So then I can easily say, well, if I start doing other modification, then I can just check on the diff panel, then double click. Then it shows like, oh, you modified this, and I can even like do changes like that. Anyway, just a very, very quick mention that Git is cool. So you want to use it even in contests. Like if you want to keep different versions and stuff, it's going to be a lifesaver down the line. I can guarantee you that. Using Git UI, well, yeah, I could use a command line. I could. Why? Why would I don't? I mean, I understand. Like there's a lot more power using the command line. Like that's where you get like all the flexibility that you need. But for a really simple use case like that, like why? Why would you? 389. That's good. Making progress. So we're around the middle of bronze now, since there are 700 people. So I'm just gonna let this run for a while. Normally I think that I would just keep doing that until I reach like top 20 or something. Or top 50, I don't know. Whatever feels right. Until I see a situation where I'm like, yeah, you know, I guess a simulation would have solved that problem for me. But until then, like, it's a good occasion to just toy around and see what a game is like, what it's about, like what are good strategies, what are not. You know, like that's the perfect point to do that. Like if you start writing a simulation right away, like you're not. Well, first it's not gonna be really fun. Like it's gonna take you like hours to just get something running, and then you don't even know like what you're gonna do with it. So. Question: what made you choose C++ over C# for this stream? Will I have a chance to see you coding in C# one day? Maybe. What I did is I just did a quick secret vote in the chat before starting the stream, and C++ came like 7 or 8 to 2. So just went with the public. But maybe next time if I stream again or whatever. Yeah, sure. Do you have to test everyone cases in order to advance? Not sure what you mean. If you could clarify your question. C++1 because Python wasn't a choice. Definitely not. Oh boy, I'm not going there. I mean, Python is fine. Okay, I'm sure there's lots of people that love Python watching, so I don't want to make myself enemies just yet. No, Python is fine, I guess. It's just that there's so many things that I don't like about this language. Well, I guess the first is that it's dynamic typing. Like even if you're by yourself and you know what you're doing, I find myself that it gets so confusing because like you have all those variables and then you're like, oh yeah, like you have to remember that this variable is of this type, so that's what you're gonna use it for, and there's going to be nothing telling you that you're doing it wrong like when you're writing it. Like you've seen how I've done the code so far in Visual Studio and everything, like doing just that and typing and then noticing errors as it happens. You know, like there was rarely a point where I didn't know what was going on, right? So like if there was an enum that wasn't well done, it would tell me. If there was like something that didn't make sense, it would tell me as well. So it's kind of a really nice safety net. Whereas like you will have to keep everything in mind when you're doing Python and then run the code and then hit the case that you're looking for. Well, that might happen once in 100 times. So I don't know. It's not really cool. And I guess well yeah, it's a slow language and well yeah, I realize it's a kind of a gratuitous statement there. It's just that when you look at there's a nice website. What was it called? I think it was the computer language benchmarking. Yeah. Let's just give you a rough idea of which languages are fast and which aren't. So yeah, like you see, like obviously C++, C are like right at the beginning. Then you have like others like Rust, Fortran, Swift, C Sharp, F Sharp, blah blah blah. And then all the way there, you get Python. So yeah, like I guess like there's those whole like what it's called, like Python C binding stuff like that to make it faster and all. But I guess if you're manipulating a lot of data or you're doing data science or stuff like that, like with all the super nice library ecosystem and all, like it's good. It's just that for the kind of stuff that Codingame does, I don't know. I just don't see any advantage of using Python unless that's what you're used to. Then all the power to you. But yeah, sorry, didn't mean to go into a Python rant, but I'm waiting for the submit. How much experience do you have in programming? Way too much for my age, I guess. I started really young. Well, if we're talking about programming, like professional experience, around 13 years. Yeah, 13 years. Video game programming. Just use typing. You can do def f int string with Python. Okay, so you can do typing with Python, and then it's gonna warn you right before running that you're doing stuff wrong. If so, then yeah, I guess that's kind of cool. Imagine being Friday night during the sprint. You got 2 hours left. What semi-advanced strategy would you go for? I don't know. I think I would have done really bad in the sprint actually because like I think that it's just easier to do the initial climbing when you just check the stuff that's wrong with the other bots, you know. So like in terms of like catching the easy cases, like that's much faster to go that way. It's just that during the sprint, like everyone is submitting and there's so much noise that you will pretty much have to rely on you know, like playing against yourself, which I guess would be fine. It's just that well, I guess that could work actually. But anyway, like semi-advanced strategy. Well, I mean, right off the bat, if we're just talking in terms of the game itself, like the game strategy, well, I guess I would have gone for something like I mentioned early on, which is drafting guard and high attack creatures, and just go for that. But I guess the approach would have been different as well. Like, would I have gone with the structured, like, oh, like let's define everything when I only have 4 hours? Probably not. But then I would have been completely out of my element. So yeah, I don't think that's for me. Have you participated in Assassin's Creed development? Well, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna answer this one, but I'm not really gonna answer like stuff about work because I don't know the implications. But no, I did not participate in Assassin's Creed. Improve your bot. All right, let's do this. So 290. That's good. That's good. Let's pick a random loss. Look what happened. Okay, so why did I lose here? Seems like I have a lot of... Oh no, wait, I'm not looking in the right... Okay, so he has really big creatures. I'm just attacking whatever. Okay, so I guess this is where I'm gonna have to play a little smarter. I just have no idea what I'm gonna go for. Like that's kind of the... It's kind of the problem here. Like now that the easy stuff is done, now we are entering the harder strategy part where I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. Maybe draft. Yeah, we could fix draft. Why did you play the spell? Which spell? Oh, this one? That's a good question. It does seem to stay for a long time. Well, it could have been played. So I had 9 mana. I played just this when I could have played more. That's a good catch. It's a good catch. Like it's something that's really stupid. That should have been done. So I guess I'll investigate that. So why didn't it? So what was my action this turn? Yeah, this is where the idea is a bit confusing. So summon 30, summon 32. Okay. So I had 7. Okay, so I couldn't cast anything else. So this turn was fine. Jeez, the input is really... I wish they would fix that in Codingame, because like trying to match the output with what's going on with the player, that's so confusing sometimes. Curiosity, since you're writing in a single file, why do you bother with declaring functions twice, once inside the struct and implementation outside the struct? That's a good question. There's no reason for it. I could have declared it inside of it. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. That's not true. Let's address that quickly. If I ever end up in a circular dependency situation where I would have, let's say, state, and I wanted to use the turn, like let's say I wanted to update the state with a turn and say tick, then take turn and parameter, right? So how would I use that? Then I would be like, okay, well, it's my turn, but it's defined here, right? So then I will have to take this and move it before the state so that I can use it. But then what happens if turn decides to use state? Then I can't, right? So the way I would do it is just have what would have been in the header in a proper code, and just take, let's say, this turn here. And then like I can refer to whatever, like at this point I can use both. There's no problem. Whether it's from state or whether it's from turn, there's no problem. So yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the game. So it seems that I'm using my mana properly. Like here I just summon 2 creatures for 10 when I had 10 mana, so that's good. Is it the end of the turn? I guess. So I guess I'm using my mana, so it was just a problem with the display. So yeah, so you guys suggested I fix the draft, so I guess that's one thing I could start doing. Where was it? State and draft. Okay, I should write something. So what would be the strategy? Like, what would I see in the 3 cards that I have to pick this turn that will make it a good card to pick, or what will make it a bad card to pick? I'm assuming you check an item first in your hand. Your board is empty at the time when you're checking it, but then you play a creature. You should consider playing creature first, then items. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. The only problem though is if I play creatures first, like let's imagine a scenario where, you know, like I have to choose between playing a creature and playing an item, and I only have mana to cast one of them. If I play creatures first, then the first creature is always gonna win. Whereas if I wanted to apply some more complex scoring function, then I have to evaluate both at the same time. But you have an excellent point though. So one thing I could do to fix that, so I'll go back to the draft later. So if I summon this card, then I want to add it to my creatures. So my creatures, push back, this ID, I guess, yeah. So then in my creatures I have this ID available. So then when it looks for the next card to play, then it will see, oh, I have a creature, and then I can play it. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's see if it helps. Oh, my bad. Inari asks, so in normal contest scenario, you would also start trying to get as high as possible before switching to sim engine. Definitely, unless I guess it depends on the game. Let's imagine that the contest was Ultimate Tic-Tac-Toe. I would go straight for the simulation engine because there's no point, right? Like, you know that you're going to have to simulate something to get somewhere. So going heuristics with that, like, I don't know, maybe to pass like the wood league, but I don't know, that would be obvious. So for a game where I know that a simulation is going to be necessary, I guess I could start with it, but I would still want to clear out the wood leagues as fast as possible, and you can do that with really simple code. How about Amadeus? What did I do with Amadeus? I think I started with this approach first. I didn't write any simulation code until I had something that was good enough for bronze. One simple draft strategy is to balance the deck equally with each mana cost. Oh, you're talking about the mana curve? Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that's something that I can check. Let's see though if the item creature tweak helped out. Guess I'm still losing. I don't know if there's any situation where it's kind of a problem. Like, I just did the fix, but I have no situation in which I can see if it actually helped. But we'll just take it for it. Special card effect is planned. Not sure what you mean by that. If you can clarify. Okay, so the draft. So maybe I can just write something that would just be concerned about the mana curve. So let's say that that so far in the draft I picked 6 cards that are like heavy mana, then I would start scoring them much lower, so then I favor cards that are lower cost, right? So one thing I could do is first compute the mana curve of the cards that I have so far, and then assign a scoring for each mana cost. That sounds about right. So then what I can say is I'm just gonna code dirty for now, well, dirtier for now, and see if I need to make a struct out of this at some point. So mana curve 12 because max cost is 12, 13, yeah. I'm just gonna, never mind, I'll just do a constant for that. There you go. Okay, so I'm just gonna iterate to the cards. What's the state in the draft though? Do I have to keep track of that? I have no idea. Well, let's just give it a try. So card location. Oh, is it gonna be in hand? I have no idea. Let's see. I'm just gonna try. I'm just gonna print. I'll start with printing. So card he is drafted. That should tell me, unless chat answers first. Yes, in an. Okay, cool. So I guess well, I'll just check it. Let's pretend I don't have a chat. Card -1 is drafted. It's always 3 cards. Okay, so in hand is the cards that are available, but I'm looking for the cards I've drafted so far. Because I want to compute the mana curve for all the cards I've accumulated. Is that available in the input? I guess I can check the statement. During the draft phase, always 3. Okay, so there's just 3 card count. So I have to keep track of it myself. Okay. Alright, so the way I'm gonna do this is keep a vector of cards, drafted cards, and each time, okay, so pass is not gonna be an option anymore. Okay. So I'll always have 3 cards when I'm in the draft. So if I wanted to do the same thing, I'll just pick the first one every time. So then I have to do, sorry, Inori. I guess I could write an helper function for that. Yeah, let's do that. It's gonna take a second. Always take the time to make your code simpler if you can. It's gonna pay off. Action. Okay. Turn the action. Then I'll do the. There you go. So then I can just go and look for the places where I've used these little things. Oh wait, I don't have one for this. Okay. There you go. Special effect to see better what a card doing to another like damage, its and or other stuff. Nuage de Cube, sorry, I missed your other question about coding a card game. I'm not coding a card game, so yeah, I guess maybe people are finding the stream outside of Codingame. So let me just explain real quick. So Codingame is a website where games are featured. So like the games are already done, and your job is to program a bot that plays that game for you and competes against other bots. So basically for this game, for instance, there's like 700 or so people that wrote a bot to play the game. So the bot plays for you and wins and loses, and as that happens, it modifies your score. So right now I'm rank 286. So as my bot gets better, the ranks gets better, and the goal of the competition is obviously to win. So the contest right now is called Legions of Code and Magic. So it's a game that's roughly inspired from Hearthstone, and I've also heard the Elder Scrolls Legends. Though it's kind of adapted differently for Codingame. And yeah, it's about playing that game as best as possible through programming a bot for it. People below Bronze League don't count. Okay, let's be fair. It's 1,056 bots in the competition. Whew, that was close. Okay, let's go back. So, what was I doing? I wanted to keep track of the cards that I was drafting. Okay, so first off, I'll pick the first cards that's inside the vector and add that to drafted cards. Drafted cards, push back. Yeah, this. Oh yeah, it wants the ID. Okay. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is make sure that this works. Iterative development for the win. Let's say, here's my draft so far. Drafted cards. Just gonna print the ID, I guess. So if all goes well, I should see the cards that I've drafted as it happens. Imagine if game companies stream game development. It's an interesting thought. Invalid action, expected pick 0, pick -1. Why is it -1? Oh, there's no ID when you're drafting? Okay. Whatever. Oh, that's wrong. Okay. Okay. So pick 0 and invalid action. What? Oh, it's because of this? So the semicolon is not good when you're picking, but when you play it's fine. That's annoying. So I guess we'll have to adjust the code. Let's see. There you go. So if it's the first time, I don't print anything, and if it's not, then I print a semicolon before printing the action. There you go. So I can see that drafted card keep increasing, so that's good, but -1 because the IDs are wrong. Okay. I guess I should print something else. Like, I don't know, their cost maybe? Nuage de Cube asks, do you need to code a bot card game? So do you really need to work on artificial intelligence? Yes, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the competition. It's not about the card game itself, it's about the AI that plays the game. So drafted card 4, so I guess I picked this one, it's the left one. 3, 2, 6, so I'm working fine. Don't need this code anymore. So then I can compute the mana curve, so I'll just iterate through my drafted cards. And then for each one, I'm going to just gonna initialize my array. So there's a little trick here. So it initializes the whole array to 0. It's much faster. Card cost plus plus. So then I'm gonna have the number of cards for each mana cost. So I'm gonna print that. Mana equal cards. See if it works. Okay, so at the end of the draft, yeah, so that's my mana curve. Can see that 3 cards at 12, it's probably bad. 8 at 2, 7 at 3, it's not the worst. It's actually not that bad. I thought it would be worse, but I probably want to have more cards around 0 or 1 mana. And maybe less at 6. Can maybe go for something early aggro. Okay. All right. So how do we do that? I guess one easy way would be to say what will be my ideal mana curves. Like how many cards of each cost would I ideally have, and the delta between the ideal and my current situation would be the score, I guess. So anything that brings it closer to my ideal mana curve would work, I guess. So let's see. You normally want maximum 2 10+ mana cards, yeah, or any at all, depending on the game, I guess. So what should I do? Let's see. Maybe I can start with something simple. Ideal mana curve, and then I just go with the number of cards I would want for each, maybe. Though I guess there's not much difference between a mana 0, mana 1, mana 2 cards, so maybe I want to do groups. I don't know. That's the part that takes time, thinking and figuring out what you want to do. Cap card count per cost, maximum 3 cards of cost 8+. Yeah, it's just that I'm wondering if it's gonna be an issue if I would say, oh yeah, I would like 3 card 0 costs, but actually if it's 1 cost, it's not that bad, you know, like doing some groups maybe. Maybe that would be better. Yeah, I think this would be better. So maybe I should just write a custom evaluation function. So maybe that's when I want to have a structure for that. Let's make the code structured. So let's go with the structure on a curve. Then I'll just do curve and transfer the code. So maybe some compute out of a vector of cards. Okay. Just transfer the code over. Alright, so now I'm nicely isolated. So out of a mana curve, I want to evaluate its scoring to see if it's something that I like or not. Okay, so let's see. Let's go with the low mana cards. The medium cards, I guess. It's really dirty, but I don't care. 3, 4, 5? Yeah, whatever. And eye count is whatever else. Nice structure-oriented programming you got there. I don't know if it's sarcasm. I mean it's not really object-oriented, but it's close enough for me. Okay. All right. So it's 30 cards. 30 cards. So I guess I want something like, I don't know, 15 low mana, 10 medium, 5 high, something like that. Maybe. Let's go with that. So what I'm gonna do is take the absolute value of low count minus 15. So that way, if I have 15 low cards, that's 0, so it's good. If the low count is 14, that's gonna be 1. 16, same. So a high score is gonna be bad. So if it's 0, that's exactly the mana curve I want. So I'm just gonna go like that. So the lowest score, the better. So then I can just go in my draft, replace the stuff with the drafted cards. There you go. Guess I don't need this anymore. Well, just get my debug code there in case I need it again. Okay. Here, compute, curve, eval score. So I want to evaluate the score after I draft a card. So it's not just about my current draft, but also for each card. So each of the 3 cards. So I want to update my curve with the cards that I will draft. So this card is the card I will want to draft. I'm gonna add it to the curve. Do I bother writing a function for that? Maybe not yet. So curve.curve, it's the prettiest code you've ever seen. And card cost plus plus. Then I evaluate the score of that curve. Then I want to put the curve back to where it was. Then the best score would be, I will initialize that at something really high. So if the score is lower than my best score, then this is the card I want to pick. So best pick, start at -1. So best score is score, and best pick is the card I'm evaluating. So I'm gonna go for something that's lowering my score the most as possible. Alright, so then I'll just replace this 0 here with the best pick. And let's see. Just gonna move this here so that I can print my mana curve after the draft is done. There you go. Let's see what happens. Krikiam asks, what is your background in IT? You mean my studies? I have a bachelor's in computer science. If that's not what you meant, please clarify your question. Memset was not declared. Oh, another GCC thing. Great. Memset. It's in C string. What? Doesn't sound right. It was memory.h, something like that. Well, I guess it's C versus C++. But I don't care for now. Okay. Alright, so my mana curve doesn't seem to have budged much. Still picking 12 mana cards. Oh yeah, because okay, yeah. Because anything I is 6 or above, so then it's like, yeah, 3 12 mana, that's fine. Maybe I want to limit myself to 8 mana for now. Okay, so no more 12 mana cards, and then I have a bunch of cards, so 16? No, 15. So yeah, I have 15 low mana cards. I have 10 and 5. So that's exactly what I wanted. That's great. I'm still losing, but at least it's doing what I want when it loses. So I guess my mana curve is good now, so maybe I could try tweaking those numbers and say, oh yeah, like for, say, well, I guess I'll just make this a bit more configurable. So let's say 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and then we'll count, let count. So that way if I want to tweak those numbers, I can give it a shot. But I don't know. I don't know if it's helping. Akis is saying, could it be that draft doesn't matter? Okay, I know who you are. I know who you are. Okay, oh, maybe the draft doesn't matter for now. Perhaps later. Perhaps later. So then what? So I should start attacking creatures, maybe. So instead of just rushing the enemy players, look for a trade that would be good. Trade that would be good is when I attack a creature, the other dies and mine doesn't. So that could be a start. You lose because you're player 2. Oh, is that it? Let's see. Oh, wait. Oh, I have to add myself first. Okay. For the memes, we'll do it. Where's the options? Oh, it's a new account. Expert. There you go. In my experience, 2 same bots, player 1 will win 75% of the game. Really? Well, I still lose, so that's not it. It's just because I suck. Seems to be a bit better now. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, what's next? What's next? So yeah, the trades, I guess. So instead of attacking a player, trading with a creature, if it's good. Maybe also the item code I could upgrade. At this point, I don't know like how much longer I'll do this, because it seems like it's gonna be a lot of trial and error, and I'm not sure how educational it's gonna be anymore. But I'll keep going at it for a bit. Let's see. So that's my summoning logic. That's my attack logic. I might want to start splitting that in different functions so it gets less confusing. Maybe. So I check the guards. So I already have something to attack the guards. I don't even care if it's a good trade or not, so I guess I should start doing that. So maybe one thing I could start doing is something simple where I evaluate each pair of cards, like one being my creature, the other being the other creature, and see if there's such a pair which kills the enemy creature and mine still survives, and just play that. So of course I'm not going to handle the case where you need 2 cards to attack one, but I mean that would be a nice start. Right? Fixed card scoring, it's still just highest cost. So what will I do then? Let's see. Card cost. So what will I consider instead? Something that says high attack, high defense? Not sure. Not sure. I'll just do the trades for now, because it doesn't seem like my the stuff that I summon doesn't seem to be that bad. Like I always have like creatures and stuff. It's just that I only care about like hitting the enemy players. So so it might be enough. It might be enough. Like I don't know. Like from experience, like at 290. Oh, sorry. At 291, like I can still do a lot of simple stuff that will like get me higher. Like I'm pretty sure like just like fixing the lower hanging fruit like this will get me a top 50 easily. Then at that point I can start like reflecting more serious in the game, like checking the replays and then thinking, okay, what is the exact situation that made me lose? Just use icebox CP -3. Okay. Sort by attack and not by cost. Health plus attack divided by 2. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe a little bit later. I'm still convinced that doing basic trading is gonna help me out. Alright, so what I want to do is find the best pair that I just talked about, which would let me trade safely, and do it. So I need a double loop for that. Let me think. I'm just not sure where I'm gonna start coding this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, start doing another function that's gonna say find the best pair, where it's gonna tell me my card and any card. And a boolean if it found something. Find best pair. Okay. My card, enemy card. So I'll start iterating over my cards that are in play. So wait, what's going on? Oh. Okay. So if the card location needs to be mine, so that's my creatures, then for each such creature I'm gonna look into the enemies. So the enemy card needs to be on his side of the board. So now I have each pair. So I'm just gonna use the same scoring logic again, something I like to do. So I'm gonna search for the best score, and best my card, best enemy card. Let's see, so the score for this pair will be whether it works or not. Maybe I can add something more fancy after that, but I'll start with that. So if my card's attack is bigger or equal than his defense, and my defense needs to be greater so I don't die than his attack. So if that's the case, it's 100 points. If it's not the case, it's 0. I'm gonna start with that. So if the score, so same stuff as usual. If it's better, I update it. Keep my card and his card. So at the end, if the score is still not or equal than 0, then I didn't find anything. If I did, then I update the outputs, return true. So then I know that there's a safe exchange to do. Or your creature as war, or your creature as lethal. Oh yeah, I'm not checking any of that. That is true. That is true. I'll see if that's enough for now though. Like I said, I really prefer doing one thing at a time. So right now I'm not caring about the abilities, I'm just caring about a successful exchange based exclusively on the attack and defense. Then after that I'll add the stuff when I know that this part works. Because that's really worse. When you start doing a lot of code, a lot of different things, and you don't test it as it goes, and then it doesn't work, and you're like, well, what just happened? And then you have to backtrack and check everything again, so it's really annoying. Okay, so It's gonna be this little annoying thing about the guards, so I would need to do a loop first with the guards, because that's the only targets that are valid. With C#, link you and join, we can do that in one line of code. Yeah, it's entirely possible that this entire bot can be written in a single line of link you. Probably around 10,000 characters long, but a single line. Let's see, so I want to only consider, so I don't want to iterate over all the pairs because because the guards need to be evaluated first. So when where is that? Find best pair, so I just need to provide a list of targets. So targets. So that way I can specify what I want to look at. Card targets. And then iterate over the targets instead. So going back to this part here, so then I want to look at the cards first if there's anything. Hold on. Sorry, I'm thinking about what would be the nicest way to go about it. So I want to check the guards first. I'll start with a loop for now, because I know that I want to consider multiple attacks. So find best pair for the guards, which I guess I need this first. Okay. And oh, it's a vector of card pointer. Yeah, the pointer versus reference thing is kind of annoying. So I guess I'll just cheat for now. Keep a value instead. Oh no, I can't do that because I'm updating a reference. Yeah, that's where my clumsy setup is starting to bite. It doesn't look like it, but it's actually quite harder to code when you know you're being watched. Let's see. So okay, so I guess I'll just update this. It's just I don't know if my okay, I'll just, for the sake of the stream, I'll just do something easy. Don't feel like updating all that. Yeah, the whole dot versus arrow thing in C#, in C++ is the most annoying when you're starting like to modify things around. It's kind of a pain. Anyway. Okay, so find best pair, guards, my card, and me card. So if I find one, okay, I'm gonna hit the same problem as I hit before, as in, since I have a loop, then I'm gonna keep finding the same pair, so I'm gonna have to think of something to do so that I don't pick the same cards again. So I guess what I could do is add a boolean that I'm gonna use exclusively for the bot, which is used. I'm gonna start it at false, and as I use cards, I'm gonna set it to true. So it's possible that I can refactor this whole thing I did with where was it? Best turn is card played. Could probably just say if card used, and then skip a whole evaluation. but for now I'll just keep it simple. So yeah, okay, if find best pair, so I'll just say I'm using those cards. I'll modify this so that if the card is used, I won't consider it. Same with this. Okay. So now my loop should be safe, and if I find a pair, then I will just add the action. I'll turn new action. Oh, sorry. Action attack my card ID, any card ID. So then I do the trade if it's safe with the guards. Okay. I should probably remove the card from the guards so that I can keep going. Erase. Oh, it's an iterator. Wasn't there something in C# easy to do that? C#. I keep saying C#, C++. Like to erase something given a predicate. Wasn't there something like that? I forgot. Yeah, see, that's one thing that's kind of annoying because I've written my own containers, so then like that kind of function where I would like to say like I just want to erase whatever value is inside the vector. Like I have that already handy, but I don't know if the C++ standard has something like that to make my job easy. Worst case, I'll just code it myself. Yeah, okay. So I guess find guards. The value is any card. And if I found something, I'll erase it. Okay, so I attack that card. I know that it's gonna die, so I'm removing it from the list of guards, so that the next time it's not gonna consider it as a target. Okay. So if at this point there's still guards, I have to stop, because if there was a guard I could deal with safely, I would have gone through this and erased it, right? So if there's one that's left, then I can deal with it. So obviously if there comes a situation where I can trade safely, then I'm not going to do anything. So I guess that's something else I will have to handle, but for now, yeah, I guess I should do. And if there's no guard left, then I can do the same thing again. Maybe I'll need to refactor again. Sorry, I was just checking the chat. So if find best pair, so I need a vector F card pointer, which I don't have, so I'm gonna have to do enemy targets. So if the card is guard, I'll push it in the guards. Otherwise, so now I have two vectors, one for the enemy targets which are not guards and the other which is. Then I can reuse this for the targets. My card, enemy card. So if it finds something, I want to do the same thing again. I guess I could factor this. Perform attack. I'll just use a lambda for this. Ah, I could use closure actually. Okay. I could refactor this into a proper function if I see the need, but that's part of the iteration part. Like right now I just need to repeat the same action where I'm using cards and I'm assigning the attacks. This part is not gonna work though. I need to take it out. So then I avoid doing copy paste, because then like if I end up like having to change this logic, then I would have to remember to do it here and do it here. So usually you want to keep a single instance. Okay, so find best pair enemy targets, perform attack. Then here instead of the cards I need to do this, so I guess I should factor this as well. Yeah. Actually I could even let's see, I could just do targets of this here. Okay, so now I have even less code that repeats itself. Alright, so let me explain real quick what I just did. Okay, so basically I'm just defining a function where I'm going to check the pairs according to the targets that I supply as a parameter. So my card and enemy card is going to be the pair for doing the trade. So I'm going to tag them. I'm going to create an action to attack with my card, the enemy card. And then I'm going to remove it from the targets I've supplied. So then the same logic can be reused for both like the enemy targets and the guards without having to copy paste. I'm sure there's 100 different ways this could have been done, but that's what I've got so far. Again, like it's surprisingly hard to think about problem resolution and streaming at the same time. Okay, so perform attack guards. If I have no guards left, I can proceed with the enemy targets. Now the only problem is I'm no longer attacking the players with that. But I think that I've done quite a bit. Yeah. I should start testing this. So I'll just get rid of my old code. And just, so right now all I'm caring is that it does trades correctly. If it does that, job's done. I also have to find a way to exit this loop. So if target size 0 break. I should do this here. Okay. Actually, I should do this as well. So I'll only check here if I have guards to care about. If I still have guards, then I can't do anything. If there's no enemy target, then I'll break. Otherwise, I'll perform the attack. And I guess this can be taken out. Okay. Sounds about right. Sounds about right. What if you can trade no attack? Well, yeah, I just said that. Like, I don't know. I don't know yet. Like, right now I'm only concerned about whether I have done the trading routine properly. So whether it actually finds the stuff. So I'm just gonna do a quick test to make sure that it does what I'm expecting it to, and then I'll add more and more logic as it goes. So what is it doing? It plays. Okay, so wait. So I have a 3-2. So technically it can trade with either of them. Well, let's ignore the ward thing for now. So they're both guard. So it can trade with either of them. So is it gonna attack? It doesn't. Okay. So I guess there's a bug. I'm just gonna remove the mana curve print because it's kind of a... Okay. So why doesn't it work? I'm gonna have to start putting some debugging. Actually, like one thing that would really help me right now, and maybe that's what I should do, but that's gonna take another while, is do state serialization. So the state serialization is basically I have my state structure here. So that's what my bot is operating from, because in the agent that's pretty much what it contains, state, right? So if I had a way to serialize the state, I would be able to load it back inside my debugger here with Visual Studio and step through and be able to figure things out instead of having to go through every single piece of code and be like, okay, well, here's CR and then write whatever debug and then just keep repeating. Then I would just be able to step through the code as it goes. The problem is I need to write this serialization, so it might take a little bit. I don't know if I should do that or if I should just keep debugging this thing like the whole way. Go serialization. Okay. Go for it. Alright, alright. Let's do it. So, how am I going to go about it? So basically what I want is first a way to print stuff, like to serialize stuff, like any kind of numbers, because I don't care about the other types. So let me think. Yeah, okay, so okay. Let's start with first things first. So I'll start with a bit stream. The bit stream is going to be where I write the data to and read it from. So I'm gonna need a buffer for that with a maximum size, let's say 512. So what I'm gonna need is at first a read bit and a write bit. So as I write bits into the stream, I need to know where I'm at. So the iteration is gonna start at 0, so the byte 0. And I also need to know how many bits I have left before having to move on. So basically it's going to be how many bits I can write per character. So I'm going to do some sort of base 64 encoding. Yeah, so that's going to mean 6 bits per character. And write that to the output stream. So basically I'm going to end up with a string that looks like this, something whatever. Then I can just copy paste that into my IDE and debug locally. So the way I'm going to do that is so each character of the buffer is going to contain an integer between 0 and 63. So it's going to be the 6 bits. Then later I'm going to encode that. So let's start with the write bit. So my current character is at this index. So what I want to do is first shift it by 1. And then if I have a bit to write, then I do OR1. So basically, I'm going to start with 0. And if I write a bit, I do 0 shift 1. Then I add 1. So that's going to be 1. This is okay. And if I don't, let's say that the next bit is 0, then it's going to be 1, my previous value, shift 1, or 0. So it's going to be 2. So I do that 6 times per character for 6 bits, and then I move on. So what I do is another variable that says the bit count, so that will be how many bits I've written so far, and then I'm just gonna increase that. And if the bit count has reached max capacity, then I go to the next index, then reset the bit count to 0. Of course, at some point I'm gonna maybe go beyond the buffer, so if I don't want that, then I'll just check if my iterator is at max capacity, so maybe I want to make a constant out of it, max size. There you go. So if the iterator has reached the maximum size, then I'm gonna chop. Maybe with a bit more information. So bitstream buffer is full. So if I crash and I see this message, then I know what happened. So once that's done, I can do the same thing for the read. Oops. Okay. So I'm gonna take the character that I'm looking at. Okay, so now that so basically the first bit that I've written is now at position 6 because it's been shifted 5 times. So I want to start by reading this. So I want to look at the bit that's is that what I have to do? 0, no, 5. So first bit is at position 5, well, starting from 0. Bit 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if bit count is at 0, then I want to look at the bit that's at position 6. So that's going to be my value here that I'm going to return. And then we have also a bit of bit keeping to do, the same as here. So that's why I'm realizing, well, actually, this should be factorized. So I'll just do, what am I going to call it? Inc bit count, so that I can use it in both cases. There you go. So then I can just do inc bit count here. Same for the right. So my bookkeeping is done. Is there anything else that I need to do here? I think that's it. Okay. What I need now is just some encoding and decoding. So I'm just gonna add a couple of functions here. So basically what it does is that so far my buffer is gonna have like values between 0 and 63, right? What I want is to write that in a string friendly form. So basically what I'm gonna have to do is to have some sort of coding table. 64, where for each value I'm going to assign it a character. Actually, I could just do that, I guess. Doesn't it work? I forgot. Okay, let's just do it that way. Must be const. Okay, whatever. So I want 64 characters. So I'll just. So I have 10 numbers, 26 letters. I can reuse the same in lower caps. So 26 times 2, 52, plus 10, 62. So I need 2 more. So I'm just gonna go with random characters like that. So what I want to do is go through the whole buffer and what's the size? forgot something. Guess I'll have to give it the count here. Okay. So basically, so encode is once I've done writing. So I want to go through all my characters. So for each character, I want to be converting it to this coding table here. So I take the character here, use the coding table. So let's say that like the stuff I have in the buffer is like, I don't know, 30, so it's gonna be a queue. So it's just gonna store it in the buffer straight on. And then need to do the same in reverse. Yeah, so I need a reversed table. I forgot how I do it in my my library. I think that I found a nicer way to do it, but whatever. So I need a reverse basically table. That's so I'll just call that an encoding table, and I need a decoding table. So for each ASCII character, it needs to map to the reverse. So then I probably need to initialize that somewhere. Since it's global, it's kind of a... Oh, that's pretty nasty. Pretty nasty code. But I'm just... because it's not exactly trivial to do, so I'm just trying to speed through it so we can go back to the more interesting parts. So I'll just initialize that. So for each character of the encoding table, its value. All right. A little something to make sure I don't have to do this more than once. So decoding, let's initialize. Okay. Then I can just say decode. So for each character, do the reverse. Whew, okay. So now I need to print the result. Okay. So print will print the content of the buffer. Print buffer. It should be about right. Yeah. I'm starting to regret doing this on stream because the code is complete garbage. But okay, so I have to decode this. Okay, I think it should work. Just need to do a little bit of testing. Make sure I didn't mess anything up. It's gonna become a bit clearer like why I'm doing all this in a bit. Just bear with me. I'm just gonna instantiate that here. I'm just gonna write a few bits. Code and print. So is it working? So I've got an I, and I corresponds to 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So does it correspond to what I'm expecting? 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 16, 16 plus 2, 18. Works. Let's see if it works over multiple character boundaries. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's see, B1. So lower B. That's, oh boy, 10 plus 26, 36, 37. So I got 37 and 1. 1 is 1. So now I see a little bug. So that's my first bit here, but it should have been at position 6, not position 1. So the reason that doesn't work is because I forgot to finish encoding that character here. So I guess an easy way to do that would be before encoding, I'm just gonna check if my bit count is 0. Right bit false. All the bits. I guess I could run this locally as well, but okay, so BW0, so that seems a bit closer, though I guess I'm writing an extra bit because of my padding here, so I'm just gonna do this instead. Okay, question. I am a bit lost. Why char is 6 bits? Because, as you can see here, like I'm trying to write a string that represents the data. If I try to write binary there, it's not going to work out because it's not going to be legible. And so the range of the characters that are legible are rather limited. So you need to have a lower number of bits per character so that it's printable. So I have 64 characters, which are 6 bits. So that's why I have 6 bits per character. So now I have BW. So W is 10, 12. There's probably better ways to go about it, but 36, 35, 34, 32, 32. So that's pretty much what I wanted, because 32 is this, and the lower B is 37, which is this 100101. There you go. So my write is working. So now what I need is a way to do the reverse. So I'm just gonna do the decode and yeah, I guess I should. Okay, I'll do that later. So I know that I have 2 characters. So now I'm gonna do. I need a reset as well. Okay, just for the sake of testing, I'm just gonna cheat here. So I'm just gonna reset my iteration and say I'm gonna read 7 bits. I'm really sorry if you find this boring. Some of the chat wanted to know, so I'm obliging. So bit is this. So for 7 bits, I'm gonna read and check if it's the same thing. 001 011. That is not correct. So there's something wrong because the first bit should have been 1. Oh no, wait, sorry. Bit is 1. Oh yeah, okay. It's because I messed up. My bad. So okay, this is the encoding part. This is the decoding part. I've got an end line. So 1001011. 1001011. So yeah, it seems to work fine. So I've got this part right. The only thing is that like I need to have an entry point where I give it the string. So let's say that I'm just copy pasting this, right? So I'm gonna need an entry point for that. So I'm just gonna call it an init. Let's see, init read with a string. And this is going to do the initialization. So for this I need to know how long the string is. I should have, I could do that in C++ if I wanted to be nicer, but I don't know. I just have so much more experience, I guess, writing like with the old C style that it's kind of like the first thing that comes to mind. But if I wanted to apply myself, I guess I could do something a lot nicer and a lot safer. This is a terrible example. Holy crap! I'm actually thinking about it. Like I'm teaching people to do like this char array, like buffer overflow minefield. You know. Oh, like that's so irresponsible of me. Anyway, let's just keep going, I guess. Yeah, okay, so the count. So that's the count that I need to initialize the count with. So I need to copy this string inside the buffer and decode it with the count. So if I want to test it with the string I have here, so bw, now I should get the exact. This function may be unsafe. No kidding. It's pretty unsafe. Sorry, Microsoft. I'll do things the bad way. Why isn't this working? To disable deprecation, use CRT, secure no warnings. Isn't that what I have to do that before? Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, man, new style C++ added saver. I know. I just realized midway that this was a terrible thing to show. Bit is 0. Okay, I have a bit of a problem here. What did I do wrong? Oh, I forgot to reset, I guess. One zero zero 1011. So it works. So we're almost there. So now what I have is a bit stream that is able to read and write bits as I see fit. So after that, the exercise will be to print actual data. So what I want to do is, instead of bits, I want to read an integer. Oops. Read an integer. So I'm gonna return an integer with the amount of bits that I want to read. Same for the other way. So my value and the number of bits. So that should be relatively easy. I'll just like to keep related things together, so it's like that. So bitstream read int yeah. So the result 0. Whoa. Okay. If I have a bit, I'm adding it to the result. Shifting it. This is a bit shifting, like I'm not gonna go through the whole theory of binary coding and all of that, so if you're interested you can look that up on Wikipedia or something. So yeah, so bit shifting, I add a bit. If I find one, then I return the result. And same for writing it. Yeah, I forgot the value. Okay, so I want to start with the highest bit to write, because that's the first thing I'm gonna read. So I'm gonna shift the most significant bit, and on each iteration shift it by 1 so that I know which bit I'm interested in. And oh, I forgot. I'm gonna write a bit if the value corresponds to the mask. So if that bit is set, then I write a 1. If it's not set, I write a 0. Simple. Shift the mask. I think that's about right. See if I devils in the details, but I think that's it. Okay, so a little bit of a test here. So instead of writing bits, I'm gonna write an integer. Let's say 120. And the number of bits, I'm gonna need 7 bits for that. 128. Just gonna run it. Oh boy, there's a bit of chat going on. We switched to solving out-of-string CG puzzles. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I think that might be useful for some, hopefully. Yeah, okay. Okay, so here's my new character stream. So now I want to see if I have my value back. So I'm reading an integer of 7 bits. So I'm going to say value is this value. So if it's working, I should get my 120 back. Value is 120. There you go. So with just that, I can serialize my whole state. I might need negative numbers though, now that I think about it. So to fix that, I'm gonna say the first bit will tell me if it's a negative number. So if it's negative, I'm gonna return minus result. And here I'm gonna write a bit. If the value is negative, then it's lower than 0. So let's test that. Minus 120. Oops. I guess it might work actually. Oh, there you go. It's gonna be much faster. Value. Okay, so y0. Value is minus 8. Doesn't sound right. What did I miss? Writing the negative. I'm reading it. Yeah, I'm not sure what I did. Why it's -8. Well, the good thing is now that we have the debugger, we can step through it. Right, so negative is true, that's good. The result is 8, that's not so good. Because I read 7 bits. I read 7 bits plus the negative, so I have 8 bits. Yet it's not working. It was working before though. Let's see. Let's just take a step back. So I add y0 here. Value is 120, so it works. So it's really just adding this little bit that's messing things up. That's weird. It's very strange. Oh, I get it. Oh, yeah, okay. I get it. So what happened is that I forgot when I write the negative value, I forgot to make sure that's the absolute value. Because the thing is that like I don't care about the negative part, because the way that it's coded in binary, like to make it quick, is that if it's -1, then it's gonna be like this, right? Because it's at 2's complement. So then what I end up writing is like complete garbage, because that's not what I'm expecting. I just want the positive value. So if I just do that, it's gonna fix it. So -120 is -0, which is not actually -0, but the encoding. And if I read the value, it says -120. So we now have a bitstream supporting negative numbers. All right, the chat. Wouldn't you need to invert the negative values to deal with 2's complement? Yeah, RoboStack wins the prize. I don't know if he said that before I figured out, but yeah. Cool. So now I just have to go through the state and serialize that. So now comes the more relatable part, I guess. Is so I have to go through my whole state and like write a binary stream out of that. So what I'm gonna do is write 2 functions, one for reading, so taking the bit stream as a parameter. So I'll keep them together because you want to have an exact like the exact same sequence of events. So first I will have to start serializing the players, so I'll just do the same here. So for each value, we'll have to figure out roughly how much it is. Actually, now that I think about it, like I could have just assumed that every integer is encoded as 32 bits and do something about that, but anyway. So I'm gonna read an integer for HP. So HP shouldn't go above, I don't know, 128, I guess. So I'll just give it 7 bits. Mana won't exceed 12, so 4 bits should do. Cards remaining 30 max, so 6 bits. Rune, there's 5 runes, I think, so 3 bits. Then, same for the right. So I'll take the HP, 7 bits. So same thing here. 7 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, 3 bits. Alright, so let's try, let's just do that for now. So I'll just take the first player, read the content. Same for writing it. And I'll just get rid of this code. So on every frame, I'm going to ask the state to write into the bit stream. Just gonna start a new one here. And then when I'm done, I encode and I print the result. Bitstream. There you go. So that's the serialization part. So now on every frame of the game, I will get a bit stream. So here it's 7W01, then later on it moves. So we'll just validate that the player information is correct. So I have a 6P4A here. So in my debug code, I'm just gonna... The thing here is that like I'm mixing my local code with the Codingame code, so it might get a bit confusing. I could fix that, but for now I'll just make sure that this works. So let's say that I have a new state S that I want to read the bit stream. Just gonna break in the debugger here. So variable S players, so first player, 27 HP, 6 mana, 18 cards remaining, rune 4. Is that correct? 27 HP, 6 mana. Oh, I guess I'm the desynchronization of the frame. Yeah, okay. So 6 mana, 18 cards remaining. Yep, and 4 runes. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that works. So the real cool thing is that afterwards I can just run the code locally and execute the frame as if it was on Codingame, and then step through and figure out the thing that went wrong. So we can go back to fixing the bug that I encountered 30 minutes ago. Oh boy, what an adventure. Okay, so let's keep going, because at this state we are not gonna stop. So the player is serialized, so now I need to... Where was I? Yeah, okay, so player is done, so opponent end, I need to... Well, first I need to do that for both players. There you go. So now both players should have their information. Opponent end, that was the number of cards left in the hand. There is 8 at most, so I'm just gonna read 3 bits integer. 3 bits, there you go. And then the cards. So I want to write or read here the number of cards. So maximum number of cards should be, oh boy, let's be Let's be generous here. I'll just go with 8 bits. I don't want to figure out the exact number of cards that can be at play, but 256 should do. So I'll just read the cards here. And for each card, let's see. Here you go, new card. Guess I should also clear the vector so I don't get the bug of earlier. New card, and from this card I read. So I have to write this. So here I have to do the same thing. So write integer the number of cards, which should be this. 8 bits. Then for each card I write it to the bit stream. So now all I need to do is serialize this huge thing. Oh, sorry, I didn't pay attention to the chat. What is this CG related code in my bitstream stream? Not sure that's a serious question. After this, I'm going on Monday to pick up a mechanical keyboard. Yeah, I don't know. Is it too loud? I guess I could adjust the mic volume. Just tell me if it's too much. Is this kind of code allowed in contest or considered as obfuscation? Oh, that's actually kind of funny. I don't know if it was meant as a joke question, but I find it really funny. For the record, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be considered as a obfuscation. Look up for Corsair K70 cheap keyboard. I actually have a Ducky one. That's an awesome keyboard. Bit of a plug. Can you comment on what you said about I'm teaching so many bits comment? Is this code bad from like real world production project point of view or from performance point of view? It's just it's production wise. Like that's the kind of code that's bound to explode in your face at some point. You know, like using like C style stuff. You're going to enter like you're going to end up in the occasions where you do out of bounds or like even like the string copy and the strcpy. Like if it's longer than a buffer, it's gonna do it's gonna write a random memory. It's gonna be bad. So all of this is terrible. And I'm sorry, but yeah, in the context of you know what you're doing, I guess that works. But you would get really bad code reviews if you try to do that at your job. So please don't give me credit. There's no point to save space. This is for testing purposes. Is it about using the bitstream? I guess there's no point to save space, except that, okay, so yeah, that's actually an interesting question. The first reason why you want to save space is because sometimes the state is going to get really, really big. It might be the case here, actually. So if you save a lot of data, like you want to put the chance on your side to be able like to fit that little string in the because there's a limited amount of characters that you can print per turn. So if you end up printing too much, you're going to end up in troubles. And it's also going to eat up the space that you have for debugging. So if you're trying like to output debug information and most of it is taken up by your state serialization, then it kind of sucks, you know. So yeah. But I mean, you're right that it's probably way overkill. I guess the reason I did it that way is because that's the way I actually do it, like the stuff that I actually use. So it's easier for me to sort of remember what I did instead of just copy pasting the code. But yeah. I want to learn programming. Can someone help me? Yeah, well, Google is your friend. If you're converting into char, it's still 1 char per value. I'm not sure what you mean. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, serialization card. So let's do this bit of menial work. Okay. So ID, I don't know. I'll just play it safe with 8 bits. Shouldn't matter. Card IDs, there's 160 max, so 8 should do. Location. 2 bits. Card type, I think there was 4. Cost 12 max. Attack, I think it's 12 max as well. HP change, probably 16 max as well. I mean, at this point it doesn't really matter, I don't think. Card draw, 8 max. Breakthrough, read bit. Charge, guard used is always false, because that's used by the AI. Now I just need to do the same thing for writing. I had a nicer syntax to do this in one shot, but whatever. I promise we will go back to the game soon. Alright, almost done. Okay. Alright, now comes the drum roll. Is it gonna work? I'm missing 3 abilities, yeah. Yeah, we'll get to it when we get back to the game. Again, I'm sorry for this diversion. Okay, so now I'm starting to get some more substantial data. So I'll just start with the first turn. Is that the first turn? Yeah, okay. Make sure that I have the cards that I'm expecting. So I'll just paste the string. Alright, so state cards. I have 5 cards, which sounds about right, right? Like I don't see the enemy cards. There's no cards in play. I have 5 cards. First card is in hand. It's a green item. Cost 2, attack 4. Yep. Sounds right. Second card is in hand. It's a creature costing 6, attack 7. Okay, at this point, yeah, it works. So, I'm good. So in the chat. So it's pretty much using as few bits as possible to encode every single value, then puts all the bits in a row, cuts the big bit row into pieces of some size, and then the reading is just doing the same things backward. Yeah, that's exactly it. This bitstream class will be faster and easiest to use than standard one in many languages. I don't even know if that's standard, actually. Maybe you should split the replay into several parts so people can rewatch the parts they are interested in. Yes, that's a very good point. Or like just do some time tag so people can jump around. My own serialization method makes me feel like a caveman compared to this. Okay. Well, now you know a bit better. I would say just a bit because, like I said, the code is horrible. Okay, so what do we do? What bug were we trying to solve? I completely forgot. I should check the VOD. What did I want to solve? I have no freaking clue. Does the chat remember? What was I trying to fix in the first place? Will this video be on YouTube? Yes, I will try. Not attacking? Wait. Oh yeah, the pairs. The pairs were not working. Yes, thanks Counterbalance. Jeez, that was a while ago. Okay, so why wasn't I attacking? Yeah, that's true. So wait, no, that was working. Or is that his turn? Yeah, I guess it's his turn. Okay. So, oh yeah, okay, so the 3/2 creature is not attacking. Okay, so I summoned here. I have an attack with weird stuff, so I guess it tried to attack, but looks like uninitialized values. What happened here? Well, here's the fun thing. I can copy paste this string here, read the state, and so okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write the test routine, which I'm gonna call from the main. I'm gonna do a if-def win32. That's a cheap way to distinguish between whether I run locally or not. I'm gonna instantiate an agent, give it the state. Let's get to think, and to print the result. So, if all goes well, I should have the same problem. Ah, even better, it crashed. That's great. If find best pair, return. Oh, yeah, okay. I guess that's if I don't find the best pair and I return, then the result is summon 5 and no bug. Cool. See how much faster that will have been? It is than if I tried to do like a printf or CR and they're just trying to figure out, well, what's going on, you know? Like half of this effort was actually worth it just there. Like I would have wasted about 5 minutes there. You didn't attack guards with your 3/2 minion. Yeah, that's what I'm debugging. Hey, I've just arrived on the stream. Do you think you will publish your code? I missed the part you sync VS debugging in Codingame. This is super useful. I'm gonna do a VOD. The code itself, I will have to think about it, because then it will be super easy for someone to just do a copy paste and submit. So that would kind of suck. At least now you have to make the effort of retyping the code yourself. So it's gonna make the bar higher for someone who will just want to copy the bot. So for the sake of the contest, I think that I will not give the code. But you can always just type it back yourself. Maybe at least post the bitstream part. It's a good point. Maybe, yeah. Maybe I should. I'll think about it. I'll just finish the stream first and rest a bit because I'm starting to get tired, but yeah, I'll look into it. We just use video recognition AI to copy your code. Okay. Sounds good to me. At least there's some effort. Okay, so let's try to run the code again. So I guess it's not gonna attack anymore, but at least that's one bug down. Okay, so there's my creature. Oh, it's attacking? Attack 5, 12. So yeah, it did attack. So we're making progress. Is it attacking still? 5, 6. So it's attacking this. Okay. Okay, so it's finding good trades and timeout. Okay. Well, good thing I have my bit stream here. Let's see what happened. Well, it's not printing anything. My CPU is at max capacity, so I guess it's stuck in an infinite loop. That doesn't sound like it, so it's probably this loop here. So guard size is 0, enemy targets is 2. Okay, so it was not able to find a pair, so it does not remove it. So I guess what it should do here is say, well, I didn't find anything, so bail out. So then if it doesn't perform an attack, then I can break out of the loop. And there you go. So summon 21, attack 320. Cool. Let's replay again. I read about this approach so much, but never saw it implemented, especially not in such a clear way. Well, yeah, good. That's actually, yeah, it's a huge productivity booster. So I just literally remove some of my competitive edge with this stream, but you're welcome. Alright, so what's going on? Oh, it seems to be going pretty well. Why am I losing? Oh, because I'm not attacking the player. Oh, yeah, okay. But yeah, it seems to be doing trades pretty well. Like, yeah, it's winning. Pretty sure it's winning. So now all I need to do is, let's see. So if there's no guards left and I did not use a card, then I guess I should just attack the player. Yeah, I think that's what I should do. So let's see. Iterate through all the cards. That's something in C# that will be actually really cool, because instead of having to recode the whole loop again and see like just like the put the conditions all over and over again, which gets kind of annoying. Like there's this cool IEnumerable interface where you can just join queries together and it makes things so much simpler. I wish C++ will eventually get to that point, but yeah, you need some like C++ ranges or something, I forgot. But yeah, someday. Okay, so if card location is not my board, so mine. If the card is used, I don't care. So then what? Oh yeah, I have to check if there's no guards left, because if there's a guard left, I can't attack the player. And I also don't find a good trade, at least not a good 1-1 trade. Then I attack the player. Which, yeah, so best turn, actions. No, wait, I had a new action. There you go. Action, attack with my card, the player, -1. There you go. Let's see if I win this time. You said you were a game dev, right? Yeah, I'm working at Ubisoft for the past years. I'm winning. Yay. Okay, so time for the submit. Let's see how far I can get. Doing safe trades, not taking the player otherwise. That's a bit slow. Whoa, that's a lot of losses. Okay, well I'm winning, but I lost a lot. I guess I can start looking at why I lost. That should be the lowest rank loss. So what happened? I had creatures, he had more. Oh wait, I actually have quite a bit here. Why am I not attacking him? There's no card here? What is going on? Because I get the feeling I could have just attacked him with all my cards and win, right? Seems like there's a little bug here. Or maybe I'm reading things wrong. It's not the best UI to see things happening. Well, I guess I am attacking him. He's losing HP there, then okay, he has this 12/12 guard creature, so there's no way it finds a trade. So maybe maybe I will have to start considering multiple pairs. Well, not pairs, but targets attacking the same. Wasn't there a legal action error somewhere? It's because he's trying to summon on a full board. Oh yeah, that's true actually. I didn't check that at all. I don't think it matters though. Well, at least not for now. Because I guess I'm assuming that I'm summoning creatures when I could have maybe used an item instead. So yeah, so it doesn't find a way to break this troll. Interesting. You know, I'm getting I think that I could just reactivate my old code. So what the old code was doing was just attacking no matter what, so just the guards, and even if it's a bad trade, it does it anyway, which I guess is not the worst because it's lowering the health of the creature. So if it doesn't find anything, then I just do it as dumb as before. So maybe that's enough. Because it might be just too conservative right now. Like you can start finding the good trades, and then if you don't find any, then you don't care. You just go. Maybe that's enough. Because I dropped quite a bit in the ranking. No, still losing. It's actually not a bad situation though. Oh, action is not legal. Attack 18. Because there's a guard? Okay. Not sure I follow what's going on. So here there should be a safe trade on this one. And this one too. So it's okay, so the ideal combination here is I attack this with this, and then this with this, and then this attacks the player. So is this what's happening? I don't think so. Let's see. So summon 36, summon 24, use blah blah blah, attack 1833. So that was this guy gets attacked by this, so that works. And then 26 minus 1, but 18. Oh yeah, it's because of the summoning sickness. So it's trying to attack with a creature that just got summoned. Yeah, because of, okay, that's because of the other thing I did. So basically I added it to my creatures so that I can play an item on it, but now it doesn't distinguish between a creature that's just been summoned and yeah, a creature that's not. So I guess what I could do is just say that this card has been used because it's been summoned. I guess I should differentiate with the abilities. I know you've been saying this a few times, so I guess that's the next thing I should do. So now I'm attacking with 18 twice. Doesn't sound right. I guess I forgot. My card used and me card used, so why is it attacking 18 twice? That's weird. Put a breakpoint in here. So 1833, and then it does that from here. So those cards should be used. So the second time it's attacking -1. Oh yeah, because this was an old loop before the used thing, so I forgot to check for that. Alright, so attack 1833, attack 26. 26 is this guy, attack the player. Okay, let's replay. Okay. Let's see this turn. Attack 26, 37. Yeah, it works. 36, 31. That works too. Attack 18 -1 and 24. Okay, so yeah, he's almost dead. Okay, and then he gets this 12-12 in, so that kind of hurts. Then I have to do this. Oh, what happens then? Whoa. Okay, this viewer is kind of all over the place. 41, so summon 41. Then I have nothing. Oh yeah, because they all suicide because they don't have anything anymore. Okay, well, I guess like the basic logic is working as expected. It's just that the strategy is wrong. I guess at this point I could do a lot of things to improve. I'm just gonna resubmit again because I fixed the bug. But yeah, I guess I could do a lot of things, but I'm realizing that I've been streaming for like what, 4 hours now? I'm getting a little bit tired. So I think I'm gonna end on this note. Maybe if people have some questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I guess that's gonna be it for me today. Maybe I will stream again. I don't know. Depends on the time, the interest, and all that. Oh wow, that's a good start actually. Holy crap. It's been really, really fun to do this stream actually. I didn't expect, I didn't know what to expect. And maybe a bit concerned, you know, like revealing stuff. Like when you're trying to when you're playing to win, you know, like you're trying to be a bit secretive so that people don't start getting better, and then it's harder for you to win. So you know, but overall, I think it's been really fun, and I'm really glad you guys enjoyed it. It's been an honor. So yeah, thanks for watching. It's yeah, I'll see if I do it again. If I do it again, I'll post on the forum and do a part 2. It's just I'm gonna have, because right now my plan was just okay, let's just get the basics running and get something decent, like get bronze, get not too bad ranking, and show some stuff. If I stream again, I'm gonna need a bit more of a plan of what I aim to do, because at this point it would be like, okay, well, I need to check the game, why I'm losing, what would be the next thing I focus on, and whether it's a better draft strategy, better trade, like the N for one thing, better search, you know, all of that. So I would like to pick a thing or 2 or 3 to do and move with it. And I'm also, well, actually, I'm not sure. Let me think of what I want to say. I'm not sure how much I should be improving on this, because let's imagine a scenario where I actually get top 10 improving the code and I'm streaming it. So it's kind of sucks for the people that are trying to win this thing if there's someone else that just like goes and tell everyone, oh, here's what you have to do to win the game, you know. So well, not that I assume I have the answer for it, you know. Maybe I'm just gonna bomb and suck. But if I do end up like with good stuff, then it's kind of unfair for the others that are tryharding. So yeah, I don't know. I will have to think about it. I'll have to think about it. And before you like the game and start tryharding this one, well, yeah, I don't know. I've never said the game is bad. That's not why I'm not doing this challenge. It's more like the complexity behind it. You know, like there's so many different variables, and you have to kind of assume that the design is well balanced for it. So let's say that, oh, you know, like there's a meta where early aggression is working really, really well, and that's what people do. And then someone figures out, oh wait, if you draft like a lot of guard or whatever, like I'm just making stuff up, but like if you do the guard and it's good, and then like your code has to adapt, be like, okay, well, this guy might be playing this strategy, so how am I going to evaluate this? And then it ends up being a long series of edge cases to handle with, like, okay, well, I have to handle this guy doing a control playstyle, a defensive playstyle, and a grow playstyle, and it's starting like littering the evaluation with the branches and ifs and all of that. And I've done that for Butters of the Galaxy, and it gets old really, really fast when every day there's a new cheese going on and you have to hack your code so that it handles it well. So I don't know. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. That's what I think is gonna happen though, especially at the top level, because like if I play a competition seriously, like I'm going to go all in on it, and I'm going to try to win it. So exploiting the design to the maximum, and I just think that it's going to be such a huge time sink that I don't know. I just don't feel like doing it for this one. To be honest, I'd be happy even just watching you debug code for 4 hours. Okay. All right. Sounds like BOTGP ADSD. Yep, pretty much. Hard to detect meta in this one because of the hidden draft. Yeah. That's actually another concern that I have, is that there might end up a situation where people do mirror draft. You know, if the strategy for picking cards gets sort of stabilized, like people figure out, oh yeah, like drafting this kind of card is really good, like I don't know, like an all drain deck, because I'm gonna get so much life that I'm gonna be unkillable. I don't know, like let's assume that's a good strategy. Then everyone is just gonna start drafting that, so then you end up with mirror matches. So mirror matches is going to be the first guy doing a mistake or the first guy to play. I don't know. And well, that's another thing though. Like the player 1 versus player 2, that's another thing that's going to destabilize the ranking in the summits. So figuring out whether you lost because of the player order or because you played bad and all of that, I don't know. It's a lot of work. I'm not saying it's a bad challenge. It's just that it's the kind of menial work that I'm not really interested into doing for 4 weeks. Alright, I'll see where the summit ends and probably close the stream after. That's why I propose some balance changes to avoid mirror drafts. Yeah, actually, I think that asymmetric drafts will make it probably more interesting. I don't know if it's going to be interesting from an AI dev point of view, but from a game balance point of view, that's definitely going to be interesting. But then you will need symmetric matches for sure. I'd like to at least know what cards the opponent use, even if I don't see what he drafts. I don't know. I think that's an interesting part, to not have this information. Just like not knowing what cards are next, because that I get the feeling that if you add too much information, then the game will end up being very deterministic. So yeah, I don't know. You can't see his item usages. Yeah, that's true. It's a very good point. Alright, so it looks like I'm gonna stabilize around top 150. It's not bad for 4 hours. Nah, string of losses. It kind of sucks. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure, at least for the next few days, going like that, like just fixing really obvious, really dumb stuff like the N41 trades and the drafts, like oh, I'm playing always the most costly card, you know, like there's probably gonna be logic there, but it's a lot of trial and errors. It's a lot of trial and error. All right, so 153. So that's gonna be it. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Again, I really appreciate the big turnout there's been today. Don't hesitate. Go on the forum. Get the check the stream thread. Give me feedback, comments, suggestions. Maybe I will stream again. Like I said, I need a clear idea of what I'm gonna do, and maybe I'll do it again at some point. I'll keep you guys posted. Alright, so thanks again, and see you later, maybe. Bye.